Everybody, it's Chad with Nobody Else's Auto. It is time for Sunday Night Live. Chad, it is 7 o'clock Central Time. Sunday evening, March 27th. Welcome back, everybody. We've already got a few people on YouTube with us waiting for Facebook. It looks like it just connected. But on YouTube, Frank's already here. Rusty Nails, Bill's already here. And hit the like button. Bill's always got me there. Norma's on with us. So a lot of our regulars are already on and ready to go. We'll give everybody a few seconds to get their notifications so that they know we are live and ready to boogie for the night before we get going here. So looks like everything is connected. We've got a few people starting to jump on Facebook as well. As always, we are live on two formats, both YouTube and Facebook. So as you see me glancing back and forth, I'm trying to keep up with comments on both monitors. So if I'm recognizing a comment that you don't see, it's probably on the other format. So Joe's on Facebook. Joy's here with us. So Carol's on with us on Facebook. So we've got some friends jumping on over there as well. And getting ready to move forward for the evening. So, but like I said, as you see me glancing back and forth, that's what I'm trying to keep up with. When we get to the auction and things like that, we'll start selling some auction pieces. You are bidding against both formats. So just wanted to keep you aware of that. If I'm talking about a comment or a bid that you don't see, it's probably either on the other format. Bug is on Facebook. Steven here from Vermont. Scott's on. Back to YouTube. Pete Winter says, hey, car family. Glenn from Minnesota's on. So that's right, Bill. It looks like the guy's getting his Corvette back. There's been a huge mess, so to speak, in the state of Kansas over a Corvette deal. Restore 59 Corvette, when they took the VIN plate off to paint the car, they didn't use the correct rivets. The KHP seized the car when they did the VIN inspection. It's been hung up for about 5 years. So if you haven't been following that, it's been pretty interesting. It's all over the internet, but they did finally, I think the law, I don't know if they had the governor's signature yet. I think they were still waiting on that, but I believe the bill had passed the House and the Senate that they didn't automatically seize the asset unless, they were suspicious of something. If it had been taken off for a restoration and there was a good paper trail and documentation as to why the VIN tag had been removed, they weren't necessarily going to seize the asset. They may do a little more investigating if they're not sure, but at least there's a little bit of breathing room for collector car owners in Kansas now that law is passed. So a few more on Facebook. Gail from Missouri. Jerry's on. So let's see what else is going on YouTube. Lots of stuff popping up over here. Chris is on. Jess and Rico are here with us. Steve made it. Brian with Dispatch. Dispatch is here. Rusty's here. Brandon's here. Lots of familiar names on, which is great. It still amazes me that you guys come back every week and we do this. Nick from Maryland on with us on Facebook as well. So anyway, hopefully that, like I said, the last thing I saw, which I believe was Thursday or Friday, they did not have the governor's signature, but that was literally the only thing they were waiting on to make that bill law so that the guy could get his car back after like 5 years. And everybody was convinced that there was no ill intent with any of it. However, that's the way the law said, that if it had been modified, it was to be seized and destroyed. So hopefully there's a little bit of common sense coming into play, especially on these older cars that have been restored, on how to handle that. So hopefully there's light at the end of the tunnel. Like Bill said, hopefully he's going to get his car back here real soon. Jay from Pennsylvania is on. Mark from Syracuse, New York's on with us on Facebook. Let's see. James, Eloy, Kenny, James Thev, Alan NC, Jeff from Canada is on with us, and Jim in a very cold Michigan. Well, I'm glad you're in Michigan, and it's not cold here. So it's actually been fairly decent around here. So I'm excited about that, and hopefully this time of the year it always starts looking better. You start feeling a little bit better as to how things are going, and maybe feel like getting out and actually getting something done instead of being stuck in the shop and having to go pull parts when you absolutely had to and it was miserably cold. So Kenny's on with us, and his mom, Roberta, is watching with us again this week. Glad Roberta made it back. Glad Kenny talked her into coming back. So that's great. Scott. Scott's already asking for the Hudson badge. So Steve's on with us. Gail says it's 10 degrees there. The other Hudson badge, which I'm sure you're asking about, has already been paid for and shipped. So we are down to one Hudson badge tonight. So maybe some of you guys can make it to work tomorrow if we only got one to deal with. Mark, anything for 70 Nova SS? The only thing I've got in 70 Nova is one 4-door. So that's all I've got in 70 Nova right now. Todd from Michigan's on with us on Facebook. Todd in Madrid, Iowa's with us. So Gail says she's got a friend in Detroit and it's 10 degrees. So I think it was in the 60s here today. So I will take that. Jim says wind chill was 1 degree. So yeah, I don't want any of that. Mick, still looking for a 37 Chevy driver's side vent window regulator. Have not drug any more of those in lately. So not since you called on that last time. So, Lee's on with us tonight, but he's in Florida instead of New York. So sounds like that's a much better place to be from the temperatures we're hearing up north as of right now. Steve, rancheros or El Caminos? I've got a few of each. Just depends on what you need. Let's see. Todd, 74 Camaro bodies, just the one that I'm keeping to build. The only 74 I've got, that Z28 that I've got. Robert's on with us. Finally got to get his good cars out this weekend since the weather's decent. Randy, a little late, just got home from a swap meet in Michigan. Lansing, Michigan apparently had a swap meet this weekend. So hope you had a good time there, which you usually do at a swap meet. So but anyway, actually looks like I'm caught up. Wow, things got a little crowd. I was. Scott says it's 84 in San Antonio, so that's much better. I can deal with that. But anyway, getting rolling tonight. Obviously, we're kind of in the open chat session. I've got a few things I want to talk about. If you guys got any questions or comments, as always, throw them up there. If I don't have the answer, sometimes some of our other viewers do. Jess, the Shriner swap meet is April 9th in Independence, Missouri. So if you're up in the Kansas City area, you've got a swap meet coming up April 9th. Buzz with Roadkill Customs is on with us. Had a great chat with Buzz and with Dalton at Pole Barn Garage the other night. I think we're going to do a lot of cool stuff too. So be sure to check out Roadkill Customs. I know a lot of you guys have because we talk about it a lot on here. Be sure to check out Pole Barn Garage and see what Dalton's got going on there too. Randy says he came home with more than he left with. Well, that has a tendency to happen when you go to swap meets. There's no doubt about that. That's a badge. As always, we didn't get this thrown in right away, but we'll sure catch it now. Trolls, you guys are great about running trolls off. I don't acknowledge them. Your guys' support helps take care of them and make sure they're not welcome. So I appreciate that if they jump on with us. As always, be sure to check your autocorrect on your comments. If I can't make out your comments due to autocorrect, then I don't know if you're asking about a part for a Cadillac and it says cataracts. I don't know how to work with that. So if I glance at a comment and I can't make it out, I will skip it. So if I don't acknowledge you, double check your autocorrect and make sure it didn't change it to something that doesn't make sense. And if you were on the Nobody Show page on Facebook, I cannot see those comments. This is a shared video from the Nobody Else's Auto page on Facebook. So if you want to participate in the auctions or comment on anything, you will need to be on the Nobody Else's Auto page on Facebook or the Nobody Show channel on YouTube. So as always, want to get those in there so everybody knows what's going on. David W. jumped on with us. Hello from Florida. Just got back from the Turkey Rod Run in Daytona, Florida. I've heard a lot about that. I've never been to it, but I have definitely heard that that's a good one too. Kim's on with the Shop Cats here. Finally got to 300 subs. That sounds like that's awesome. Glad you made it to that. I know you've been working on that hard. But anyway, what else is happening? We need to do a yard live walk around here one of these days. So I know some of you guys have been asking about doing and when's the next live from the yard coming. Hopefully sometime here in the next couple weeks. It's been a few months since we did one. So stay tuned. I'll try, and I will post something ahead of time on both formats, both Facebook and YouTube. However, the live will probably be just on YouTube, just because dealing with comments off of two formats gets pretty difficult at times. So just keep that in mind if we do a live yard walk around. But I will, like I said, I'll give everybody a little notice before we get to that. Let's see. Gary says a live from the yard would be awesome. Yeah, like I said, and I know you guys have been asking about it, and definitely want to try to get that in because, like I said, we haven't done one since Christmas Day. And I've brought a lot of stuff in since then, even though I've done videos on a lot of them individually. It's always cool to just go out and wander around the yard for a while. Nick says, how far do I travel to buy cars? Most of my stuff comes from in Kansas, just because of the logistics of getting them here. You know, sometimes I'll have somebody coming to get a car. They'll bring one with them that they'll trade in on something. But typically the stuff that I go get, I don't have time to go very far. So Bill says, if it's not too cold, they'll be there. If anybody, Maple Grove Dragway, April 2nd. So sounds like we got something coming up there as well. But anyway, Elgin Badger. If you were hanging out with us on Toy Tuesday, you'll know you saw some of the cool stuff I picked up at the Wichita Swap Meet. BW's Garage made it on with us. And if you'll remember, we looked at a super cool Nash ashtray. This little deal. Hotter than a depot stove. 1949 Nash. Has a little top on it. A little place for ashes. Has a little place for the cigarette. Reason we're showing this, a lot of you guys commented about Jess getting one. Well, I got a text from Jess a couple of mornings ago. She found one on eBay. And just so everybody knows, Jess has one on the way for her Nash collection to go with her 49 Nash. So I know a lot of you guys were worried about that when we did the live. So I thought that was pretty cool that she found one for herself to add to her collection. So anyway, let's see. Dustin on Facebook, is the yard open to walk around and check cars out? No, Dustin, I'm not open to the public at all. Even when I'm out there, I close the gates. I don't have time to be open to the public. It's almost impossible. If you want to stop by and look at a car or something, just give me a shout. And so we can set up a schedule a time and get something set up so you can stop by. But I'm not open to the public at all. There's just no way to do it. Mark's still waiting for to get the cab over done. Yeah, the cab over's on the back burner right now. It's sitting in the other shop put together, but they're just have not had time to touch it here for quite a while. Let's see some other comments popping up. Joshua, please post a community update so I make sure I'm free to watch the live yard walk. Yeah, we'll try to do that. And like I said, it's tricky because of the weather and the wind. I do have a new wireless mic that I haven't figured out yet, but I do have one which will help with the wind. But if we're out walking around the yard for a couple hours, we've got to have a calm day. We want a nice, clear, sunny day. So typically, I don't know until a couple hours before if it looks like it's going to work. So, but what I will do is I will try to get a post up, 2 or 3 hours before that. Hey, it looks like we're going to be able to go today. So, typically we do it on a Sunday afternoon when everybody's got time to hang out for a little bit. So if that works for everybody, if anybody wants to do them on a different day, let me know. If we have a lot of voting for a different day, I'll do it differently, but I typically do it on Sunday afternoon. So, but I do try to give everybody a little bit of a notice. Sebastian's on with us. Bill says, don't try next Saturday. I won't be around. So sounds good. Let's see. Rico says should be on the 28th. Jess is excited. So Jess is supposed to get her Nash ashtray on the 28th. So she's pretty wound up about it. So that's exciting. Mark says Carlisle swap meet in April. And those are too far away from me, so I'm not extremely versed on those, but I've heard they're good ones. But if you are back east, you'll definitely probably want to try to catch Carlisle since it's coming up as well. That's a badge. But anyway, what did I do this week? If you guys caught the video the other night, had a farm auction on Monday. And I picked up that 84 Impala, which is crazy to think that it's an 84 and it's an antique, but it is. So I went ahead and snagged that. It is a regular Impala. It's not a Caprice, but it is a complete, unmolested, unhit car. Still has the hubcaps on it. Literally just exactly like when they shut the key off is when they parked it. So pretty good car, a lot of good pieces there, and definitely glad to add that to inventory, as well as the building, the contents of the building that another guy and I bought together. Yeah, if you didn't see that video, be sure to go back and check that out from last Monday night. I gave you a quick scan in the building of what we were getting ready to dig out of there. We went over there and worked on that, I think, Wednesday. It works out really well. This other guy, he lives here in Great Bend, and he does a lot of antique stuff. However, he primarily does a lot of household stuff, furniture, decorator stuff, glass. He's really good at that stuff. He knows that stuff cold, and I know absolutely nothing about it. But which is great because we do the same thing in two completely different venues. So if he finds car stuff, he sends it to me. If I find household furniture, glass, I send it to him, and that's why it worked out to buy that building. And we, for what it brought, neither one of us would have bought it on our own, but by buying it together, it worked for both of us. I got a lot of cool cans out of there, and we'll be auctioning some of those off. In fact, we're going to auction one of them off tonight, but probably 20 or 30 cool cans out of there. Well, Impala's full of them right now, or was. Starting to sort them all out, but I just backed the car up to the building and filled the car with the cans. So got them out, got to get them sorted out and figure out what was all in there. Some of them are kind of dirty and crusty and things like that, but there's some cool stuff there, and we're going to be sharing some of that with you with trivia stuff and auction pieces and things like that. Oh, and speaking of trivia, that's the one thing I didn't get done tonight. I do not have trivia tonight. So number one, no, you didn't win. So, and I know that I'm sitting there, it was right before we went live. I was sitting there thinking, what else did I forget? I knew I didn't get to trivia, but I think I missed something else. So at some point tonight, if I say, oh, that's what I missed, that's because I couldn't figure out what I missed. But I did not get trivia done for tonight, so we won't have that. Christian is on with us. Cheers, USA. I believe you're from Germany, if I remember correctly from when you've been on in the past. Glad you made it back tonight. But it was a pretty good auction. Like I said, I was glad to get the Impala and some other cool stuff. Plus, we got some new cans that we're going to be able to share with you guys. Gail, do you have any mini 30s to 50s trucks? I've got a lot of them. So it just depends on what you're looking for there. So Brandon says, hey, number one, you got your beer ready for that. And that's right, Joe. Joe brought it up. Two other cool pieces I got out of there. The turbo superchargers for aircraft. World War II aircraft turbo superchargers. I'm not sure. I haven't had time to do any research, but they look very, very similar to another one that I have that is for a Wright R3350 radial engine, which was B29. So I've got to confirm that if that's the same as that other one. But these were actually set up on some sort of a stand or a cart, and they used them as a blower. One of them still has the gas engine mounted to it. The other one is just on a stand. It does not have an engine, but one of them actually has an engine still mounted to it. So we'll have to show you those as well, because there again, what are they good for? I don't know, but they're really cool. They're neat pieces of history. Journeyman Randy's glad you're on with us tonight. Let's see. Bill says hit the like button. Kenny says no, the Notre Dame football coach is not the answer. Scott, turkey hunt tonight. Well, we got a magazine from 1978, so think about that for a turkey hunt. We might be going on a turkey hunt tonight. Nick, any 33 Chevy cab and front end with hood for a truck? Don't have anything there on a 33. I've got some 29 to 31 Chevy trucks, and I've got some 34 to 36 stuff. I've got a 35 Chevy truck that's still mostly intact, but nothing in that 32, 33 era on a Chevy truck. So anyway, that's kind of what I did this week. We had some weather earlier this week, which kind of stunk, some snow and rain. We got through that. Things are getting pretty decent. And hopefully we're on the downhill slide on the winter weather, at least in my area, because I'm tired of it. I know some of you still had to deal with it, but fortunately we're getting through here. Number one, 1978 Ford Fox Mustang ads. I don't remember if there's any of those or not. It doesn't ring a bell, but there might be one in there. Skimming the ads, and I don't see one. But we got a lot of ads tonight. That's why I don't remember all of them. The articles are a little thin in the magazine tonight, but the ads were epic. Tons of great ads. Joe says more than likely those turbo superchargers are B29, which would make sense. There were 4 B29 bases right in my area. Great Bend was a B29 base. Pratt, 50 miles south, was a B29 base. Salina, 70 miles northeast, was a B29 base, as well as Walker, which was 50 miles northwest, was a B29 base. So there were literally 4 B29 bases within about a 100-mile circle. So there is some B29 stuff still floating around this area. Journeyman Randy says he's got 22 degrees and snowing, and you can keep it. So anyway, got some badges to check out. Auction pieces tonight. Actually, I'm going to throw this out there before we get into the badges because I want to talk about the auction stuff before we get into it. Because I've got 4 things laid out, and I want to know what you guys want to do. Wall DC got done today as a seller at Piatone. Great turnout and sales. I was wondering about that. I see that on the porcelain sign trader pages and a lot of that stuff. But I've never been to the Piatone, Illinois Gas and Oil Show, but it looks like there's a lot of cool stuff there, and it sounds like it was a good show. I'd love to make one of those, either Piatone or Iowa Gas or something like that. Just never have. But glad they had a good show. But anyway, tonight I've got 4 pieces laid out for the auction. I've got 3 oil cans, and I've also got a small hood ornament. So I want your guys' opinion on what you might want to do. Number 1, with how many bases you find a ball turret to cast from. These were turbo superchargers for the engines. These actually went on the engines and just stuffed them full of air. So didn't really have much to do with the ball turrets. So yeah, these actually went on the engines. So what do you guys think about auction? Joe's already for oil cans. I'll do all 4 pieces, or we'll just do part of them, or whatever you guys want to do. I want your opinion. So I've got those 4 pieces laid out to auction tonight, whatever you guys want to do. But anyway, as far as emblems and badges tonight, got a couple of cool pieces to check out. One of them we glanced at on a video a few weeks back, but I wanted to take it out and show it to you because it is a beautiful piece. Sebastian just says all 4. Oh, number 1 says sit and stream in a ball turret. That would actually be kind of cool, but I don't know where I get a ball turret, but I would be down for that. Kenny says all 4. So it sounds like everybody wants to see all 4 pieces coming up. So I'll keep an eye on anybody's comments and see what you all think. But the first badge, like I said, we're going to actually do a little bit newer than we typically do, and I'm going to start working in a few newer pieces than this, and there's a reason for it. I bought a bunch of Newell stock, or not a ton of Newell stock, about a pickup load of Newell stock GM. And I've got a buddy who is thinning some stuff down, and I bought a bunch of stuff from him that I've got a ton of stuff to pick up, actually, but I got about a pickup load of Newell stock GM from him. Number 1 says all 4. Lee says all 4. Everybody's in for all 4 pieces. So I'm going to start bringing you some of these badges are going to be Newell stock. They're going to be, some of it's going to be a little bit newer, but we say newer, but it's already technically antiques. So, but this badge, like I said, I showed it to you when I was getting ready to go to the swap meet. It didn't sell, so I've still got it here, and it is available. I'll probably throw it on eBay. But it's the Newell stock GMC High Sierra 1500. Back in the day, you didn't really think much about these. Back in in the 80s, you've seen them all the time, but it's like, man, these were really a pretty good looking badge. This is plastic. It is brand new, never been on a truck. Still got the pegs on it, still got the gasket on the back, still got the GM box with the part number on it. And what's crazy about it is, when I looked it up, this is like 85 to 87 pickup, and then up to 91 on the Suburban because they didn't change the Suburban right away. So that thing is, starting in 85, 37 years old? As crazy as it sounds, yeah. So technically it's antique stuff already, and it's a cool piece. And like I said, even though it's newer, I still like it. And I'm going to start working some of this other stuff in because there's a couple of handfuls of Newell stock badges, 80s, 90s stuff in this Newell stock that I bought. There's some cool pieces in there. So we're going to start working some of those in as well, because this stuff is getting hard to find. And these trucks are getting crazy popular. A lot of this 80s stuff is starting to come on, and it is an important part of our hobby. Sebastian says it's an interesting badge, but no plastic. Number 1 says my kind of badge, High Sierra. Rusty Nail says $15 back then. Yeah, probably not even $15. Probably. I bet they were probably $8 or something back then. But Chuck, any 78 to 88 G bodies? I've got about 30 of them. Just depends on what you've got and what you need, what pieces you need, and for what it is. But I've got about 30 G bodies right now. So, and the other thing about it is recognizing this stuff from the 80s and even up into the 90s. Roger from Australia is here with us. it is an important part of our hobby because that's where our hobby is going. And we all need to be, cognizant of that to make sure that we don't exclude some of this younger generation that is coming into the hobby that does like what we would consider newer vehicles, but they're still old, they're still antique, and they're still important to these kids that are doing them. Number one, what's the difference between a high Sierra and a regular Sierra? That I don't know. I'm assuming the high Sierra was probably a little fancier package. Brandon, I have a 94 short bed regular cab, 350 automatic that he's getting ready to restore. And that's a perfect example. A 94 short bed pickup that he's getting ready to restore. That truck's almost 30 years old, and that is an important part of our hobby. That's why I preach on here a lot, and I'm sure some of you get sick of hearing it. That kid that pulls in with a Firebird or a Camaro from the 90s or a pickup from the 90s, that's an old vehicle to them. If that kid's 20 years old, they were born in 2002. So a 94 is an old vehicle. We've all got to be cognizant of that. We've all got to be aware of that because we absolutely do not want to exclude any of these people from coming into our hobby just because it's a younger generation with different tastes. So that's why I think it's important to recognize this and include stuff like this in our chat to make sure we're all aware of that and make sure that that next generation is welcomed into our hobby so we keep this hobby alive for a long time down the road. Sebastian, I probably have quite a few of those plastic badges that he's already got. Number one says, and this is exactly right. Number one brings up a good point. The word restore sounds wrong with 1994. However, that is where the hobby is going, period. It is. End of discussion. It is happening. Whether you like it or not, whether you're a 55 Chevy guy and you think stuff from the 90s is junk, it doesn't matter because that is where the hobby is going. And if we don't recognize it, the hobby's dead. If we recognize it, the hobby will go on forever as the generation cycles. So that's what we have to be aware of. Joe, love the square body trucks, but they rusted out. The early ones rusted out so bad. Yeah. Christian, I guess it would fit to my 85 K30 Army truck. It would probably fit, except it says 1500 on it instead of a 1-ton. But Sebastian, save the 70s, 80s, and 90s. Yep. Brandon says, number one, it does, but said he was 20 when this truck was built. So, Pete, what is the eBay store name? The eBay store name is very simple. It's Nobody Else's Auto. All lowercase, all run together. No dashes, no spaces, no underscores. Nobody Else's Auto. All lowercase, no punctuation, no spaces or dashes. That's right, Gail. Times always change. That's a great way to put it. It does always change. Number one, it must be cheaper to upgrade a 90s car than it is to restore it. Just depends on what it is and things like that. So that is the first emblem or badge for tonight. And I'll keep, like I said, we're going to bounce around a little bit on some of that stuff because I think we all need to be aware of the changes that are coming and be cognizant of that to welcome them in. And by recognizing it and talking about that stuff is the only way we're going to do it. Sebastian, we have to support the new generation so they can enjoy the cars that we enjoy from the early days. So that's true. I mean, it's always cyclical. It always has been cyclical. It always will be cyclical. There is no way around it. We can't change it. It's going to happen, and that's the way it is. We're better off embracing this next generation and bringing them into our clubs, invite them to our cruise nights, invite them to car shows, invite them to Cars and Coffees, talk to them, make sure they feel welcome, offer advice, and bring them into the fold so they're part of it, because that is the next generation that is going to run the car clubs and put on the Cars and Coffees and put on the cruise nights and put on the car shows. If we don't welcome them now and bring them in, they may not be around to do that. Let's see. Mike from New Waverly, Texas is here with us. The next badge we've got for tonight is another one from the new bag o' badges from the Wichita Swap Meet. I think we got 5. there. Last week, we looked at the Chandler, which was a really cool badge that I just got at the Wichita Swap Meet. New piece to the collection, as all of these are. Lee, I have a 90K 1500 I've had for years. Put it in storage in the winter, so no rust. Don't ever plan on selling it. Yep. Dave, is the raffle next month? Yes, we announced the raffle last week, but it will run through April since we didn't start it till the end of March. And there it is right there, the Sinclair sign. We'll talk about that a little bit more a little bit later. Alec made it tonight from New Hampshire. Your badge is on the way, Alec. I don't know if you got the note that I did not have any medium T-shirts, so I refunded that part of your payment since I was out of mediums. So Scott says we'll be going to car shows in wheelchairs, and that's right, but we got to have somebody to put those car shows on. And if we don't bring this next generation in, we're not going to have anybody to help put those car shows on when we get to that point. So let's see. James, my daughter's 14 and she wants a 92 Z28 for her car. Do you have any? Not that I'll sell you. I've got a 92 convertible. They made 1,251 92 Z28 convertibles. I've got one of those next door. But I do have a 92 Rally Sport that is a V6 car that is complete with a pretty good interior. The paint's coming off on the hood and the roof, but a pretty decent interior, white, red guts, V6. Car runs. It'll hit on starting fluid, but I can't keep it running, so I'm guessing it probably needs a fuel pump. I've got a video on that, but that's a pretty good car. You might check that one out, James, even though it's not a Z. Sebastian, they're the ones who are going to save the ones that we did not find. That's another good point. That next generation is the one that's going to save the ones that we didn't find. So Alec got the badge Friday, and he says it's really cool. Awesome. Glad you got it. How about taking a look at mine so everybody can take a drink? So Gail, my little brother was born in 90. He's talking about how the 91 Silverado is a hot item. And that's exactly right. That's what it's coming. That's what's happening. Sebastian, there's 3 Chandlers for sale on Hemmings. Rusty Nell still wants my RT badge. So, Sebastian's one of 3. There's supposedly 3 Chandlers of that type known left, and there is one of them on Hemmings right now. Daniel says, I've got a question. Where am I going to find cars? Yeah, and that's one thing, Dan. It's another good point is, that's the problem when you're looking for something specific is location, because some of this stuff is, can be halfway around the world depending on what you're looking for. Sometimes it's right in your backyard. You just never know. You look at Bring a Trailer, you look at eBay, and it's just, you just get lucky if you find something that's close that you like. Number 1, I've been offered a rusty 84 Omega 2-door notchback with no transmission for $250 Canadian. I don't know how much that is. So, Steve, any first-gen Camaro parts? I'm pretty much out of first-gen Camaro stuff. I've got one back seat for a coupe, but not much at all for first-gen. I've pretty much sold all of it out. Number 1, who made the Z28 convertibles? The 92 Z28 convertible is a factory car. Prior to that, all the way up through midway through 91, they were an ASC conversion. But the late 91s and early 92s, and I don't know why they did a factory convertible for essentially a year and a half of production, but the late 91s and all 92 Camaro convertibles were factory cars. And like I said, they made 1,251 Z28 convertibles, and that's what I've got stashed away that I bought a few. Actually, I bought it at Meekum almost 10 years ago now. Holy cow, I didn't realize I've had that car that long. I ought to drive it. Actually, I bought that car in 13. I've only driven it once. Wow. Actually, that didn't sink in until just then. I bought that car in 2013. I drove it home for supper one night and drove it back. That's it. So, let's see. William Alderman, been in the barn working. Glad you made it. Sebastian, bid the Chandler badge. No, I'm not going to sell the Chandler badge. Kim's got to bail off early. I'm glad you made it for a while tonight. Daniel says talking about cars with no miles on them. That's really about the only way. Most of that stuff does end up on those auction sites. Bring a Trailer, eBay, or Meekum, Barrett Jackson. Other than that, it's just digging. You just got to do all the digging to try to find something like that because it's tough. That's right. Joe's still looking for a factory oil bath air cleaner for a 283 and an early 60s Chevy truck. If anybody's got one of those laying around. Bill says, see you next Saturday. Be there early. Have a safe week. Oh, that's because Kim's got to bail off. So Anyway, that's right. Kenny says time flies, and it does. Time does fly. There is absolutely no doubt about that. But anyway, tonight's badge, like I said, this is another one I picked up at the Wichita Swap Meet. All these ones I got at the Wichita Swap Meet, other than the Hudson badge that is now belongs to Alec, were new to my collection. And tonight is a really cool one that is definitely kind of different, that I don't really know much about and hadn't seen much of, and we didn't have it all. And it is, drum roll, a Jewett. Didn't know much about a Jewett. Hadn't really heard much about a Jewett. But it was a cool badge. Classic Ride Society. Third gens are still getting junked. Bought my 89 Formula 350 from the yard, and they just got an 84 Z28. Yep, that's still happening. So I'm trying to grab whatever I can get and put them out and line them up. Well, there's the drinking badge. I guess the Jewett could be a drinking badge. Alec, have any Mopar Challenger badges? Yeah, I've got some of those as well. But this Jewett badge is 1922, 1923 era Jewett. Obviously, it's white background, blue letterings, blue border. I don't know if you guys can see it or not. I'll kind of hold it up here a little bit closer. I don't know if you can make it out or not. It does have a bunch of ornamental work around the perimeter of the edge of this thing. Billy Bowman's here with us. Buzz, Roadkill Customs. I was at KC. Wow, but curious, what did the Hudson badge clone sell for last Sunday? $155 is what it brought. $155. This Jewett badge is kind of beveled. It's actually not, I don't know if you can see it or not, it's not completely flat, which is kind of weird. You know, a lot of these mounted flat on the grill shell, so there apparently had to have been a little bit of curvature to this grill shell for this Jewett. On the back, it looks like it's been repaired at some point. You know, this stuff doesn't look factory, like it had been popped off and somebody had to repair it. But fortunately, it did not affect the enamel. There is a very tiny chip in the enamel right up here. However, it didn't go all the way through, so it still looks white. It has not been touched up like so many of these. But at least it wasn't a deep chip. But a cool badge. Now, what is a Jewett? Because I didn't know what a Jewett was. So I went to my favorite new website, American Auto Emblems, to look this up the year, and it had a little bit of info on it. Gail says they can see it on a phone, so that's good. Kevin's here. Glad you made it. Kenny, cool. Never seen a Jewett. That's. I knew you were in Kansas City, Buzz. So I'm glad you made it back this weekend. Sebastian, love learning of new cars I've not heard of, and that's part of doing this badge thing. Obviously, some of the stuff we've heard of, and it's cool to see the different designs and ornamentation they used. It's also cool to learn about this stuff that we haven't heard of before. But what is a Jewett? Well, according to the American Auto Emblems website, where I get all my badge information, Sebastian says he wants it. Let's see. Brandon says 22 to 26. From what the American Auto Emblems website said 22, 23 for this one with this ornamental stuff around here. If you go to the American Auto Emblem website, it breaks them all down for that. But yeah, they were made from about that window. It's a Jewett automobile is what it is. And everyone wants to take a swig. We'll just put them up there as a pair. How about that? But Jewett Motors was actually a subsidiary of the Page Detroit Motor Company. It was established to produce a reasonably priced six-cylinder car to be sold through the Page dealer network. The Jewett was an attractive automobile and was immediately popular when introduced in 1922 in touring and sedan body styles. A growing range of body styles was offered in the following years. In January of 1927, after the production of over 100,000 cars, the Jewett name was dropped and the car became a model of the Page. The first Jewett cars in 1922 carried a white and blue enamel radiator emblem. The Jewett radiator emblem changed slightly over the next few years. So they all look very similar to this, but like they only made them for about 5 years. They didn't have an extremely long run prior to being just rolled into Page in 27. So Tony's on with us. Glad you made it. But it's a neat piece. So that's the great part about this. It's the history. It's the neatness of the pieces. When you look at the detail, I mean, there's no reason for this to be, inscribed or jeweled or whatever you want to call the ornamental work around that, other than it was the statement piece of the vehicle. And by doing that, that's what made it cool. That's what made it stand out. Because that's really about all they had. You know, back in the 20s, most of the stuff pretty much looked the same. Whatever you could do to your grill shell or your radiator shell and your badge and your hood ornament or your motometer is about what you had to work with to stand out. So, a little bit more discussion about the F bodies, the Classic Ride Society. He didn't get any of them, but he just frequents a lot of the yards. Some will sell them parts before getting crushed. But yeah, and that's another Classic Ride Society brought up. Metal's up a little bit right now, so there is a lot of stuff that's going to be getting smashed again. You know, who knows how long it's going to stay up, but for right now, it is up. David W. says Page of Grand Page. Well, I was wondering that, but it says Page Detroit Motor Company. I think at some point Page Detroit probably became Grand Page. Page was spelled exactly as David W. has it on typed out. Paige is how it was spelled. Scott on Facebook wants to know if I'll sell it. Now this is one we didn't have, so it's going into our collection. Number one says they had 12 different body styles of cars, but not pickups. So that's a lot of body styles considering they only made them for about 5 years. However, most of the body stuff is probably all very similar to the Page. They just made a few tweaks and rebranded it as a Jewett for that different line. So, but there again, that's the great part about this. You know, I didn't know anything about a Jewett, but now we all learned a little bit about a Jewett, so we know a little bit more about it than we did before. That's what makes it great. So, Classic Ride Society, they got a 66 Delta 88 crushed the next day. I didn't even get to check it out. Yeah, that happens. That's there again. When it irons up, that happens. Joe says, just looked up Jewett cars. They're big cars. Yeah. Big Job's on with us. Glad you made it. Sebastian, I started crushing modern aluminum soda and beer cans. I have extra cash to spend at auctions. It's not a bad way to make extra money. Crusty Antiques is on with us on Facebook. Says it is cold in New York. It sounds like it's cold all the way up north from what we've been hearing tonight from Michigan to New York. Hudson Badge. Good pair. If nothing else, it's a good pair. So anyway, that's the second badge for the night. The Jewett. Cool piece. Oh, I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. But like I said, it's going back into my collection because we didn't have one. And what else we got to look at? I'm peeking in the bag. We've got three more to show you. We showed you the Chandler. We showed you the Jewett. Three more in here for the next 3 weeks of new, cool, super cool badges, actually. Brian from Nebraska is on with us. That's what we've got for some badges and emblems. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Some neat stuff. And a little bit of a history lesson on Jewetts. Information you didn't know you wanted to know. And probably still don't care. But we covered it anyway. Joe says it is. Joe did say it was cool info on the Jewett. So I guess maybe some of you thought it was okay. Number one says Sebastian, hold a graduation party every weekend, make it BYOB, and you get a lot of extra aluminum. That's a good point too. So, Hudson, who wants to bid on some oil cans? Like I said, I got 3 oil cans and a hood ornament tonight. Everybody says sell all 4 of them, so we'll do it. Todd from Russell is on with us. Not too far away. Glad you made it tonight. Journeyman Randy's here. He thought the Jewett was a cool car as well. So, neat stuff. Let's get into some auction pieces. We've got 3 cans and a hood ornament like we talked about. So we'll start off with 1 or 2 oil cans, then we'll do the hood ornament, and then we will do the last oil can or 2. So, Alex ready to go? Looks like everybody's ready to go. So, let's see. What do we want to start off with here? We'll start off with a composite can. This is a cardboard can, but it does have great graphics. So, as always, I'll go ahead and show the can. We'll start talking about it. You guys can start throwing some bids out there, And after we get rolling, after we get done describing it, we will set it on a 90-second timer. As always, please get your bids in early. Once we get going into the 90 seconds, inevitably, almost immediately, immediately after I sell it, there's another bid or two pops up. So we do have lag time. Please understand that. I'll announce 30 seconds, 60 seconds, and then when we've got 15 seconds left. So make sure you get your bids in there as we're getting towards the end. Once I call it sold, I can't go back on that. So anyway, please be aware of that, and we'll start checking some of this stuff out. Get ready to start bidding, and we will start going here shortly. A couple more comments I want to get to. Kenny says, no, he likes learning about stuff he hasn't heard of. That's cool. That's great. I'm glad you guys enjoy it. Sebastian says, now I want to Jewett. The Catalina. Oh, call me on that. I've got somebody that maybe trade me something on that we're working on right now too. So we talked about that last week, and I thought you were going to call me on it, and I hadn't heard from you. So Jeff, have you ever had a Bricklin? No, I've never had a Bricklin. I've seen them. I've been around them. I know a little bit about them, but I've never had one. Big Job says, I wish I had $1 for every Conoco can he opens. So Gail's got to bail off on Facebook. That's all right. We're glad you made it for a while. Jason's here. Well, Jason's here. We better give him a Hudson badge. You're just in time for the auctions, Jason, so I hope you brought your money with you. So, as always, like I said, I'll announce the time. Be ready. Be cognizant of that. As we show the cans, go ahead. You can go ahead and start bidding if you want. Glenn says, where's Primer at? She is right over there. Gray Kitty. Gray Kitty. Wake up. She don't want to wake up. She don't care. She's sleeping. But anyway, the first can, like I said, this is a composite can, so it's cardboard, great condition, great graphics. That's why I thought we'd go ahead and throw it up here, see what you guys think of it. It is a Derby all-season Ultra Life can. Very bright, very good-looking colors on this one. Jason says, money, what's that? So like I said, this is cardboard, so it's probably 70s, maybe early 80s, which there again is 40 years old or better. It is still sealed. I will drain this before I ship it unless somebody wants it shipped full. It's not completely full. Something's leaked out or something because it doesn't feel like it's completely full, but it does still have something in there. Sebastian's starting us off at $5 on this one. This is 1040 Ultra Life all-season motor oil. Top has not been punched on it at all. Lee's in at 10. On the back is Supreme long-distance motor oil for turnpike driving. Approved for Ford with a Ford part number. Approved for GM with a part number. Protects new car warranty. Manufactured by Derby Refining Company, Division of Colorado Oil and Gas, Wichita, Kansas. So I've got David W. at 15 on this one at this point. And like I said, the graphics and the coloring on this is great, even though it is a cardboard can. But, you know, like we've talked about before, these cardboard cans will literally just disintegrate. They will literally, I've seen them 100 times in old buildings. They just fall apart. They'll fall down. They'll crush themselves. The stuff just comes apart. I really think these are going to be tough to find in the future. So I think they're great cans. I've got a lot of composite cans in my collection. I have no problem with them whatsoever, especially one with these kind of colors and graphics. I've got Lee at 20 right now. Lee is my high bidder. Big Job says, loves that can, love the blue. So I've got Lee at 20 right now as my high bid. I've got some other numbers. A couple other bids just popped up, but they are all behind the 20. So Lee at 20 as of right now is our high bidder on this. As we put this on the 90-second timer, I've got Sebastian at 25. And timer is running as of right now. We have got 90 seconds left on this. Sebastian at 25 is my high bidder. It is a cool can. It is in good condition. We've got a little bit of flaking up here on the blue. David W. says the red star looks familiar too. Yep. And a little dent back here, but overall, great display can. Like I said, Williams at 26. I will drain this, unless the buyer contacts me and says I'll pay for extra shipping to ship it because of the weight involved with shipping the full quart. 30 seconds has passed. We've got 1 minute left on this one. Eloy got some old Harley Davidson cans still in the same paper cans like that, still filled with oil. Yeah. I've got 26 on this with William right now. We're at 45 seconds. We're halfway through. So be thinking about your final bid. Make sure you've got a little bit of time to get it in and get it processed as the timer ticks down. because like I said, there's always one or two that come in right after I sell it. 1 minute has now passed. William is our high bidder. If anybody else wants in, now's the time to get in. As the clock ticks down, we've got about 15 seconds left. I've got William at 26. Sharp can, cool piece. Looks like William may be getting this one. About 10 seconds left. If nobody else sneaks in here at the end, William's getting this one at 26. So just about got it wrapped up. Keep an eye on both formats. And that's it. We've got William at 26 on the Derby can. Let me jot this down real quick so I don't forget. And then we're going to do another one. And Joe just fed in at 28. So there again, Joe, we missed you on that one. I apologize. That's what happens when we're dealing with the feed. So please get them in early. So I apologize on that one, Joe. That's why we do the timer. So hopefully you'll get the next one you want to bid on. Big job. Wondering if you could clear coat them. They clear stained sideboards with Emron. I don't know if you could clear them or not. So, but anyway, sorry about that, Joe. We'll try to get a little earlier next time. Let's do a hood ornament, and then we'll do two other oil cans. So, this hood ornament we're going to do tonight. It's not a super fancy one, a super wild one, but it is a cool piece. It is 1940 Chevrolet car. Pretty neat piece. I don't have my tape measure laying here right now, I don't think. No. So I can't tell you exactly. I got a ruler. So we'll auction off this hood ornament and see if anybody wants to buy hood ornaments. If the hood ornament does well, maybe we'll start working some more of those in. This hood ornament is right about a foot long, actually. I've got my Kennedy Space Center ruler from when I was like in 6th grade. And this hood ornament is just a tick longer than the ruler. So barely over 12 inches. It is about 1.5 inches high up here. So it's about 1.5 inches high, almost 12 inches long. This is a completely original hood ornament, exactly as I took it off of a car in the yard. It's got, the chrome doesn't have a super deep shine. It's got a little bit of dulling to it. But it still looks cool. It's got great designs in it. It is 1940 Chevrolet. I've got number one just bid 10, but I already had Alec on Facebook at 10. I had Alec on Facebook at 10. I just hadn't got that. It's already been up there for a second. So I've got Alec at 10 on the 40 Chevy hood ornament. David W says, reminds me of the streamlined locomotives back then. Yeah, it does. Like I said, you've got this awesome just swoop back design all the way back. You've got this line that comes in here and cuts in with it. You've got these ribs in it. I've got Pete at 20 right now is my high bid. A lot of bids coming in, but Pete at 20 is my high bid. Eloy, I've got my 40 coupe. It still looks brand new. So Brandon's in at 40 is our high bid at this point. Bottom, it still has the mounting screw in the front part. The rear one's falling out. I just got it marked 40 Chevy in there. There's the other side. We need to look at the other side on it. So you guys can see that. We'll hold it up from this way. See the spine going up and down the back. See the ribbing on both sides from there. I've got Kenny at 41 on the 40 Chevy hood ornament. It's not cracked or broken. It's a cool display piece. Lots of neat stuff you can do with it. You know, you can put it on a board with it. You'll get a board with a little bit of a curve to it because this does have a slight curve to it. It is not a perfectly flat piece, but it is a cool piece. It's a great decorator piece. You can do a lot of neat stuff with it, or put it on a 40 Chevy, or put it on a hot rod too, for that matter. I've got Alec at 50 right now on the 40 Chevy hood ornament. So let's go ahead and get the timer ready. It's got the little tab back here where the hood molding would slide over it still. That's not broke off. Let's get this thing on the timer and get ready to roll with it. We've got 90 seconds. High bid of $50 with Alec. And here we go. We've got 90 seconds. Sebastian says they're like 175 on eBay is what he saw. So I've got Alec at 50. We are on the clock as of right now. Sebastian came in at 45, but I've got Alec at 50 at this point. Big job. I love the plain hood ornaments. I've got a Newell stock 56 F100 hood ornament still in the box. That'd be a cool piece to have. So, Alec at 50 is where we're at right now. 30 seconds has passed. We've got 60 seconds left. David wants a Hudson badge. We got it right there. Put it right up there with the hood ornament. So, Alec at 50. Our friend Phil's on with us. Sold one in the Florida collection with pits for 90 in October. So, I've got good to know our good friend Phil Skinner's on with us. Can't wait to see Phil. He's coming through this week, and be good to spend some time with him. Jeff says it's in nice shape. Yeah, it is. 1 minute has passed. If anybody else is in it deeper than $50, it is time to do it. We've got just about wrapped up here. $50 is our high bid with Alec. And we've got about 20 seconds left. Keep an eye on both formats. As always, don't let your bid get missed. If you want in, time to jump in now. Sebastian's at 55. 10 seconds left. 55 is the high bid with 10 seconds left with Sebastian. Pete came in at 52, but I've still got Sebastian at 55 down to the last few seconds. Keep an eye on both formats. And that's it. It looks like I've got Sebastian at 55 on the hood ornament. Get that noted down. So, as always, you can do PayPal on this stuff, but make sure it's friends and family. If you don't use friends and family, then it's kind of a mess. So, so if you use PayPal friends and family is the only one I'll take it. You can always do check or money order. If you do pay me friends and family and you forget to, or you pay me with PayPal and don't use friends and family, like if you're doing raffle tickets, things like that, you're not going to get all your entries because of what PayPal keeps. So keep that in mind. Friends and family doesn't cost me anything. So you get all your raffle entries that way. And I don't want to do PayPal unless it is friends and family because of the way they have changed some of their rules and regulations. So anyway, we'll mark the hood ornament to Sebastian at 55. And we'll get into some more oil cans. I know some more of you guys are waiting on the oil cans. We've got 2 more to do. The next one came directly from the farm sale on Monday. Fresh meat. Sebastian says it gets paid on Thursday. So, okay, I've got those other couple pieces to hold for you. So, yeah. So, when you get paid Thursday, get that to me, and I'll get all this stuff boxed up and shipped to you. So, the next oil can, I got it Monday at the farm auction. Like I said, we've got some more cool stuff that we're going to be bringing you from that auction. We've got some more cans we're going to be selling you that are duplicates for me. So this one is a metal can. Like I said, fresh from the Monday farm sale. It is a metal can, but it has had the top cut out of it. It is a Quaker State. All metal Quaker State, cut out on the top, but really clean can. Cleaned up very nicely. All I did is wash it with soap and water. I did not polish this yet. I think it will actually polish up. Kind of hear my voice in it. It's weird. I think with a little bit of rubbing compound, I think this thing will clean up and bring a lot of the shine back to it. On the back, Quaker State has specialized in producing, refining, and marketing quality motor oils for more than 60 years. So they are a cool piece, and it's in good shape. Bottom is not damaged, and it is clean inside. So nice can, good piece. And anybody that wants to jump in on this, let's go. Alex in at 10 started us off. So, all right. On the Quaker State can, fresh off the farm sale from Monday. I've got David W. at 15. Sebastian's got it in a Quaker State Deluxe in paper. So, I've got David W. at 15 on the Quaker State, fresh off the farm sale. Lee came in at 15 too, but David W. was a little bit ahead of you. There's all the text on the back. Like I said, top cut out maybe hurts it a little bit. However, it works great on your desk if you're going to put pins in it or something too. So everybody's in this thing at 15, it looks like. So Quaker State Oil Refining Company, Oil City, Pennsylvania, 16301. on the back. I've got Kenny at 18 as we put this one on the timer, and we start. There we go. So Quaker State on the oil can. We are on the timer. I've got Sebastian at 20 on the metal. Quaker State fresh off the farm sale from Monday. Alec came in at 20 as well. I had Sebastian first at 20. We are on the timer, though, so be thinking about what your maximum bid may or may not be. As we come up on the 30-second mark with 60 seconds left, I've got Lee at 25 as our high bidder. Keep an eye on both formats. We've had a lot of bids on this thing already. Frank says he's got 16 degrees. Well, you can keep 16 degrees. I'm not interested in that. As we go past the 45-second mark, Lee at 25 is still my high bidder. I've got Kenny at 26. Now, as we come up on the 1 minute mark, and we have just hit 1 minute. We've got about 30 seconds left. Keep an eye out. I've got Kenny at 26. I've got Alec at 27 on Facebook. Alec at 27 with about 15 seconds left. So counting down, here we go. Alec at 27 is our high bidder. 5 seconds left. We're just about ready to wrap this thing up. Lee comes in at 30, and that does it. Lee's in at 30 on the Quaker State can. As always, I appreciate everybody's participation in this. It's a lot of fun. Jason says he miraculously all of a sudden has an empty Miller High Life can that's up for grabs if anybody's interested. It's in mint condition. So I don't know how Jason ended up with an empty Miller High Life can while he's hanging out with us, but apparently he did. So anyway, Frost, why is it so hard to find a 49 Mercury unchopped or a 4-door zero luck? Yeah, they're still out there. You do still see some original ones popped up, but there's not a lot of them. So, but yeah, it's tough to find one that hasn't been customized. That's for sure. One more can, and then we're going to get into tonight's magazine. Old School's on with us tonight. Hudson Badge. Jason's going to have a lot of empty Miller High Life cans to auction off here in a little bit. One more can. This is also a metal can. It is new. It is full. So as always, when we do a can with oil in it, if you want it shipped full, that's fine. Just give me a call tomorrow because there will be additional shipping on a full can due to weight, obviously, that it weighs a heck of a lot more than an empty can does. So anyway, Randy's here with us a little bit late, but that's okay. We got one more can to auction off. You might want to jump in on it, Randy. This is a great can, great graphics, all metal, super cool piece. And it is a Skelly Tagoline. Great colors, super cool piece. I hope you guys are as excited about this as I am. But this is a good looking can. It's got kind of a big red V with the Skelly logo in it. It's Tagoline HD, motor oil, fortified. This can has some ribs in it. I don't know if you guys can make those out on the screen or not, but it is a ribbed can. And you guys aren't messing around. We've already got bids coming in this. David W. at 15 was the first one. William missed the hood ornament and the Quaker State. Rico's in at 25 on this one. And that is our high bid at this point is Rico. It is the same on both sides. This side not quite as good. There's a little bit of stuff down here that I think this will come off with a little bit of rubbing compound. There again, I ran out of time. Lots of bids coming in. I've got Lee at 35 as of right now is the high bidder on this can. Top says SAE 40. It is not punched on the top or the bottom, but it is a good looking can. Sebastian's at 40 on it on the fortified Skelly Tagoline. Kenny says what year? It does not say anything on it that I see as a year. Being a metal can rib like this, I'm going to guess 60s, but I'm not sure. Kenny, or number one, when's the Phillips 66 can for auction? I got to go through and see what I've got. I got to make sure I've got duplicates on some of that stuff. But anyway, on the Skelly, I've got Sebastian at 44 right now is the high bid. And Old School says he thinks it's 50s, and it very well could be. I didn't look it up. I just thought it was a great can in great condition. I knew it would catch your guys' attention. So anyway, I've got Sebastian at 40 on the Skelly can. We're going to put this thing on the timer, so be thinking about your maximum bid as we get the Hudson badge out. And here we go. The timer is now running. We've got 90 seconds, so be thinking about getting that last bid in. I've got Sebastian at 40 on the Skelly can. So, and Intrusive says, "It's spoken like a true collector." I got to see what I've got. Yeah, because if I don't have one, I don't want to get rid of the extras. That's for sure. Tony, there was a Skelly truck stop in Sturgis when he was in high school. Phil's hanging out with us, but he says he's got crappy internet. Well, at least you're on with us and hanging out. That's always great. 30 seconds has passed. We've got 60 seconds left to go. I've got Sebastian at 40 on this one. Texas hockey cards. This is cool. Glad you made it tonight. Sebastian, there's a 1 gallon on eBay right now. We've got 45 seconds has passed. I've got Sebastian at 40 on this can. If you want to get in on this one, we're halfway through the timer. So be thinking about your max bid and be ready to get it in because we've already seen it tonight. I've had some bids coming after we called these. 60 seconds has now passed. We're down to the last 30 seconds. If anybody else wants in, now's the time to do it. I've got Sebastian at 40 on the Skelly can. 20 seconds left. Here we go. Keep an eye on both formats as always, just in case somebody pops in on Facebook as well. 15 seconds left, and we're coming down to the end. And down to the last few seconds, nothing else. I got Sebastian at 40. Lee at 42 at the last second. And that does it. I got Lee at 42. Lee just barely snuck that one in. So I've got Lee at 42 on the Skelly can, which is also a great can. I love it. So Big John said that here 45. Yep. Number 1 says Phil must be on the runner and witness protection because why else would he be in the Super 8 in Macon, Missouri? Yeah, Sebastian had 43, but that didn't come up till after I'd already called it sold. So, it's tough, and we always run into that. So, I apologize for that, but it does happen because of the delay. So I got to go with what it feeds me. But Kenny says Sebastian must be doing well working on diesels. He's got lots of cash. So, yeah, Sebastian's 43. It did not get to me until after it was about, well, actually, I shut it off at a minute 36 by the time I got it clicked off, and it was after that. So, and I got Lee at like a minute 28 left on it. So it didn't feed to me, and that happens. That's why I always warn you guys to get in early. But now excited to see Phil again. Definitely our local. Not our local, it's the kind of, I was going to say nationwide, but I think it's a worldwide Edsel expert. So if anybody's got any Edsel questions, when we've got Phil on, now's the time to ask Edsel questions, that's for sure. But definitely excited to see Phil this week as he's coming through. So let's see, what else we going, let's see. And here's the problem, and this is where we get into where it's kind of a tough spot because I announced it sold to Lee because of what I can see, and there again, when we're dealing with these systems, there can be a few seconds worth of delay, and that's the only way I know how to do it that's fair. So, because it's not fair to Lee if I announce it sold to him and then don't sell it to him. So it's kind of a bad spot to be in. I know that, and it happens every time. That's why I put it on the timer and I announce the times, so that everybody's on the same page as we're going through the auction stuff. But it's cool and it's fun, and I'm glad to be able to share some of that stuff so you guys can add stuff to your collection. Hudson badge. So, Sebastian says he's cool with that, and Sebastian's great to work with. Sebastian, one of our younger viewers, just starting out as a diesel tech, but hangs out with us a lot, and we have a lot of fun, and he's adding to his collection as well as a younger collector. So it's working out well, and everybody's having fun, and that's the important part. But anyway, about time to get into a magazine tonight. Tonight, like I said, we're going to jump back up to the 70s from the 60s last week. Ken Nolan's here with us. Randy's got to bail off. Glad you were able to hang out with us for a little while. Tonight's magazine, we're getting into the motor trend of March of 1978. Kind of an interesting cover. Radical new engine for Chevy, which is weird. I didn't get into it real deep, but we'll touch on it. You can see it on the cover. It is a weird engine. We'll touch on it a little bit. Not a lot of articles in this magazine. I was a little disappointed when I got into it because there was so much internal engine stuff. Not a lot of car stuff, just a lot of internal engine specs and things like that. So we'll touch on that. We'll touch on some car stuff. However, tons of great ads tonight. So we're definitely excited about that. Jason says, Phil, I need an L for his wall hanger. What kind of wall hanger do you have, Jason? So we'll get into this March 78 issue of Motor Trend. That's number one since I can almost smell the Old Spice through the screen. Yeah. As always, when we do a Motor Trend, we always start off with the Detroit Report. And in the Detroit Report this month, we get into multiple things, as always. And if you're not familiar with these issues of Motor Trend, the Detroit Report is tidbits from the manufacturers that were coming out at that point. One of them being the gussied up Gremlin, the new Gremlin GT, recently introduced by American Motors. Outwardly, it has the appearance of a high-performance car. Styling package includes front and rear fender flares, front air dam, blacked out door and quarter window frames, and striping on the Gremlin GT. And it does have a picture of it. So you get to check out the Gremlin GT. Jim's Lawn and Tree Service is on with us, having fun watching, but his computer froze. David says, is that a rotary? Kind of, from what it looked like in the pictures. Well, there is some pictures of it we'll look at and study a little bit when we get to that part. But the Gremlin GT in the Detroit Report, as well as something else that we're all very familiar with now, bumpers that flex. The federal bumper no damage standards for 1980 are going to persuade the automakers to put flexible plastic bumpers on about 5 million cars a year in the next couple of years. And the opinion of McCord Corporation, a major supplier of these bumper systems. Flexible bumpers are now on Corvettes, Monte Carlos, Camaros, Monzas, Grand Ams, Le Mans, Firebird, Starfire, Skyhawk, and Mustang. Except for the Mustang, all these cars have bumpers made by the reaction injection molding process, in which two chemicals are simultaneously poured into a mold. With a little heat or pressure, an extremely tough, smooth, and flexible urethane skin is produced in about 2 minutes. It's then filled with urethane foam plastic and attached to a steel bumper beamer structure rigidly mounted to a car. Now, in today's world, that's extremely commonplace. That's part of our world today. 1980, that was pretty big news. Another thing that I thought was very interesting in the Detroit Report, especially when we look at today's extremely complex systems. Jason needs an L for his 58 Edsel grill. So I know there's some Facebook pages that Phil's involved with the Edsel Restoration and Preservation Group. There's a lot of Edsel parts and things like that on those pages as well. But diagnosing the diagnostics, and we'll go ahead and read through this. It's a short little article, but it's almost kind of comical. It's this one right here, so it's not real long. So we'll go ahead and read it. But almost comical when we think of where we're at today versus what they were talking about here in 1979. Come here. We got a little friend here, but she won't want to come all the way over. So she's sitting right down here hiding from us. Yes, aren't you? Yes, I hear you. Yes, come here. Come here. Oh, yep, there she is. Yes. See, everybody wanted to say hi. Can you meow? Yes, you're always in the way any other time. See, everybody wants to say hi to you. So there you got to say hi to everybody. Yes, here. You want down? Here you go. So anyway, now everybody knows she's still hanging out. So David, 5 mile per hour bumpers were destroyed at under 5 miles an hour. Number one, using it on all those different models must have made it feasible to penny pinchers in the general. It could be. She's kind of a squeaky cat. So Sebastian, Phil's $1,200 is a good deal for 4 complete Edsel parts cars. Could be if they're all there. Yes, everybody's saying hi to you now, kitty cat. So, but anyway, diagnosing the diagnostics. Onboard diagnostic systems are increasingly being touted as the way out from our increasingly costly and troublesome service problems, especially electrical problems. Boosters of such systems say they'll enable mechanics to repair the right thing the first time. They'll save mechanics time and consequently car owners money, and that these systems will catch some incipient engine troubles before they occur. This could be true, but it's not all roses, as we're all very well aware of today, 40 years later. Onboard diagnostic systems often have technical problems themselves. Generally, they're only effective if the owner goes to a dealership handling his line of car, and dealers often report that diagnostic systems in cars and in dealerships cost more money than they save. Volkswagen pioneered the onboard diagnostic system for production cars several years ago by introducing a fairly sophisticated system in the Beetle, which is kind of weird because we're talking mid-70s technology. We're talking about the Beetle, one of the cheapest cars ever made for tons of years because of cost to produce, yet they put the first onboard diagnostic system in a Beetle. I thought that was kind of odd. However, it was dropped about 3 years ago, and this is in 1978, without too much fanfare. Some dealers still use the system to a limited extent. Why? Largely because of electrical problems with dealership diagnostic equipment, which was down as much as it was operational. VW also decided not to spend the extra money for such a system on the Rabbit. Chevrolet Jewett came out with a fairly simple umbilical cord diagnostic system in 1975. It has been retained and extended to several other GM cars. A similar system has been installed in the new Dodge Omni and Plymouth Horizon. So there again, almost comical when we think they really thought that this onboard diagnostics were always going to tell you the answer and not be a problem. We're obviously well aware now that is just another step along the path to getting to the actual problem that you're experiencing with your vehicle at that point. Brandon, duct tape 100-mile-an-hour bumpers were better. So, Buzz, Roadkill Customs got to bail off. Glad you made it by for a while tonight. Number one says, Sebastian, if he gets the Edsels, he needs some pieces off of that. That's right. Tony says that's a joke. That's why I started off with this is almost comical, knowing where we're at today. So, Sebastian, the Beetle was the first car to beat the Model T with production numbers. So, Hudson. So, like I said, I warned you ahead of time that it was almost going to be comical compared to where we are today. But anyway, so there's some tidbits from the Detroit report in the March 78 issue of Motor Trend. Now we're going to jump forward a few pages and we're going to get to this engine that we saw on the cover. And I didn't spend a ton of time with it because obviously it never went anywhere. But there are some good pictures and we'll kind of study it a little bit, but I don't really know a lot about it and didn't spend a ton of time with it just because it is such a weird deal and it obviously never did go anywhere. Number one says he might own a vintage VW aftermarket diagnostic loom somewhere in the pile. That engine was called the Velela Gyro Reciprocating Engine. So I'm assuming it is some type of a rotary engine. Jason said he's got another empty Miller High Life can up for grabs, which pretty much shocks nobody. So, but here it is. So obviously some sort of a rotary engine inside the can, so to speak, that we saw on the cover. Show some of the parts. Like I said, I didn't get real deep into this. There are several pages or several pictures. We all will look at some more. I didn't understand a lot of it or get into it real deep just because I knew it didn't go anywhere. And it looked like a rabbit hole we could go down and spend 2 hours on. So, but it definitely was interesting. And, don't really know where they were going with it or what they were thinking with it, but obviously not extremely practical. I'm not getting any comments on Facebook for a while now. So if you are commenting on Facebook, okay. And then there one pops up. So Joe, so I was starting to wonder, and then Joe says, looks like a World War I aircraft engine. Yeah, it kind of does. So I was kind of curious about that. If we were getting any comments on Facebook. So thanks for throwing that up there, Joe. Appreciate that. Sebastian, I'll see if we can close the deal with the gentleman on the Edsels. So if not, he's going to try to assess the condition of the parts. So Jason says just on Sundays. The Velela gyro reciprocating engine is low emissions, low weight, small number of parts, simple construction. No fan or cooling system was the interesting part about it. Make this new engine a highly promising candidate for future power of your car. A few more good pictures of it. That's right. Tony agrees with that, and that's kind of what I thought. It does look like an airplane rotary engine, or radial engine off of an airplane. So, Big Job says everybody ever knew that worked on an actual rotary said they were junk, and I don't know much about them. Never have messed with them. But I guess that's about all. I thought there was a couple more pictures, but that's about it. So I guess there's one more picture I need to show you that actually kind of shows a schematic of how it breaks down. If you guys can see that and see how the engine and differential breaks down on that type of a setup. So like I said, obviously the idea never really went anywhere or really did much of anything, but obviously somebody had enough sense to try it and see if it was an option or an answer to some of the situations they were dealing with in the 70s with the gas crunch and mileage and things like that. Joe says, who made that engine? It was a General Motors project. Apparently they were looking at it for Chevrolet based on what it says on the cover. So when we looked at the front, that's what it said, radical new engine for Chevy. So like I said, not a ton of articles in this one. What else do we have? Oh, another one that was kind of interesting. Big Job says that's a horse of a different color. Yep. And this was kind of a history type article, but I found it very interesting, and I thought we would touch on it real quick. Kenny says his grandpa was a big fan of rotary motors. So, number one says the channel Angel Motorsports, where they get 800 horse out of rotaries. But there was an article on Rudolph Diesel. He changed the world and paid the price. Now, I'd never done a lot of studying on Rudolph Diesel, but it is very interesting. And the high points of this article, like I said, I did read the whole thing. And obviously, if you Rudolph Diesel, you pretty much know what he was involved with. And it was pretty interesting. He was born in 1858, and he actually was born in Europe, lived in Paris, but had a very, his mind was really geared toward technology and developing things. He went to the World's Fair in 1867 in Europe, but his childhood was somewhat tumultuous, and he lived in Germany, he lived in France, he lived in London, he kind of bounced around, and it was a kind of a tough childhood for him, but he always had a desire for technology and for inventing. He actually did go to the School of Industry in Augsburg, which is a very strict, highly regarded institution. His education continued at the Technische Hochschule, an advanced engineering school. And one of his professors was a man by the name of Carl Lindy, which was the individual who invented refrigeration and was the first to liquefy air. Yes, you can liquefy air. If you weren't aware of that, you can liquefy oxygen at a certain temperature. So yeah, if you weren't aware of that, that is possible. As a matter of fact, that's what caused the explosion on Apollo 13 was liquefied oxygen, or lack thereof, after there was a leak. But yes, you can liquefy air. And actually, Rudolph Diesel worked for Lindy in the refrigeration business. Let's see. Sebastian, I have a few rotary cars, but only have them because people who like to buy the parts. Jason, the rotary guys seem to be diehard rotary guys. So, let's see. Sounds like he was an orphan as a boy. Well, I don't think he was an orphan. I can't remember the They did bounce around a lot because of political conflicts in Europe in the early 1900s. Had a lot to do with it. But that's how he started getting into it. When he started working with the refrigeration company, and obviously, with refrigeration, you would deal with chemicals and you deal with pressures and how different chemicals react to different pressures. Well, how does a diesel engine work? Pressure. And that's where his study into using pressure in an engine came from. And that's how he came up with the diesel engine. Number one, liquefied air is so cold it'll break fingers like icicle. I bet so. That wouldn't surprise me a bit. Classic ride side. I can stand the sound of a rotor. There used to be a shop near me that would wind them up. Talk about death to the eardrums. Brandon's got to jump off. Glad you made it tonight for a while. But as the diesel engine, as he started to experiment and he started to test these pressures and the effects these pressures had on different chemicals, it was all primarily done on experimentation with different kinds of fuel, including powdered coal. They actually tried powdered coal to see how it would react under high pressures. But it was his intention from the start to run on liquid fuel. So obviously his experiments soon led him to petroleum. It was on February 17th, 1894 that the diesel engine first ran. It only ran for a minute, but it proved that his theory worked. So it was fortunate that he received this bit of encouragement because the next series of experiments took him further and further away from success. It was May of 1895 before he finally got back on track and the engine began to operate reliably. The first test showed 23 horsepower is what the diesel engine was putting out. From this point on, the fortunes of Rudolph Diesel blossomed. New engines were built, improvements continued to be made, until there was no doubt the engine would be a very important part of the future. However, what happens when you have success and you have something that works? Everybody comes out of the woodwork. Other inventors claim to have done work on the same kind of engine long before diesel. A number of lawsuits were filed aimed at breaking the patents that he held. He always managed to successfully defend his work, but the constant tension took a toll on his already overworked life. He was constantly traveling, negotiating manufacturing rights, consulting with engineering firms, and giving speeches in an effort to make his invention widely known. In addition to the problems with people, the engines being built by outside firms, there again, you license somebody to build it, and they don't do it right, we're having problems, which obviously affects the whole entire umbrella of the diesel engine philosophy and theory. They were assembling them too fast. They weren't making the parts right. He also became the target of hustlers who saw opportunities. Once again, once you have money, hustlers who saw opportunities to separate him from his money. So Mike's on with us on Facebook. Let's see. Jason says, hit the like button. Fortunately, in the midst of all this chaos, a few reputable firms continue to work on the engine, so progress was being made. In 1897, Adolphus Busch, scion of the brewing empire, saw the potential of the engine and negotiated $1 million deal with Diesel for the rights to manufacture them in the United States. With the renewal of his fortunes, the severity of attacks on him, both personally and professionally, increased as health began to fail. In 1899, he committed himself to step back and regroup, which fortunately he did and got back on level ground for a while. Bill says, hit the like and subscription button on YouTube. I appreciate that, Bill. Absolutely. Hit the like button or hit the subscription button. Be sure to click notifications as well. Like I told you, we're going to be doing a live from the year, hopefully here soon. Turkey hunt tonight. We're in the 70s, so we may have a turkey hunt coming up tonight for sure. However, the story does get a little bit weirder. After he does go through his spell where he checked himself in and regrouped, he got back on level ground. It says around 1909, Diesel began experimenting with adapting his engine to boats, trains, and even cars. One after another, those projects failed, each tearing a hole in his fortune. Even with this, his fame continued to grow, and contacts with American business were making him rich again. The last 2 years of his life were filled with ups and downs. The last significantly positive event of his life was in June of 1913, 109 years ago, when several hundred American engineers extended to Diesel an invitation to be an honored guest at the World's Fair in San Francisco 3 months later. Well, that would be, a pretty significant, honor. This is, we're talking 1913. However, 3 months later, Rudolph Diesel was to vanish from the earth, which was kind of weird. In the company of a Belgian engineer manufacturer and another engineer, Diesel boarded the steamer Dresden on September 29, 1913, excuse me. They were going to England, where Diesel was to participate in the opening of a new engine factory. And there again, I didn't know any of this stuff. And this may be, maybe this is boring to you guys, but there again, it's all history, and I like it. I hope you enjoy it. So it's definitely different. At 10 o'clock that evening, the three men retired to their cabins. When the ship arrived in port the following morning, Diesel was missing. On October 10th, so this was September 29th, he went missing. On October 10th, a floating body was found by a boat belonging to the Dutch government. Some objects and papers were removed from the body for identification. It was custom of the day not to remove a body from the sea, so it was allowed to float away. The objects and papers were identified as belonging to Diesel, but no positive identification was ever made of the body they were removed from. After his death, rumors of foul play and intrigue circulated, but no proof has ever been advanced, and it is generally assumed that he committed suicide. However, you never know. The man is history, and while his fate may be a mystery, his device remains. His engine has been modified, improved, and put to uses he never dreamed of, but the basic principle remains the same, and his name lives on. So I thought that was pretty cool. Let's see. Sebastian, yet after he died, Diesel became the go-to train fuel. Yep. Jason, the stuff about Adolphus Busch, he invested in it to buy the rights to bring it to the States. Kenny says he liked it. Well, that's cool. Glad you did. Sebastian, I'm glad we know this story. It's cool history. Great. Big Job likes it. Pete, Jewett and Diesel, I'm educated a little more tonight. Well, and that's great. I'm glad you guys feel that way. Jason says it was super interesting. Sometimes I wonder, sometimes I get down these little rabbit holes and kind of get off on a tangent, but I thought this was really cool, and I thought it was really interesting, and I hadn't read it before. I thought maybe some of you guys hadn't. So Jason says it's interesting. David W. never knew all that history, so I'm glad you guys like it. William says good historical info. Helps us remember and know how we got where we're at. 200% correct with that, William. So I thought that was cool. One article on a car real quick. David W. says awesome stuff too. This was a driving impression on one of the not so exciting cars of the 70s, the Dodge Aspen. And the one that they did the driving impression of was even a four-door with the Leaning Tower of Power Slant 6. Scott on Facebook liked the story too, so great. I'm glad you guys dig it. I really am. The Dodge Aspen, this is about as basic as you could get for the 70s on the basic four-door Aspen. Less is truly more. I bet less wasn't truly more in a four-door Aspen in 1978. Going out on a limb there, but that's what I'm thinking. Tony always says always cool to learn new things. So I'm glad. I feel a lot better now because I do dive down some of those rabbit holes a little deep sometime. Jason just says, preach it, Pastor Chad. So, okay, we'll keep going with it. But in conclusion, the Aspen in the form evaluated here, now I'll show you what it here. Rusty Nail said he had a two-door. Here is the form evaluated here. We've seen it was a four-door. Slant 6, Leaning Tower of Power, basic bench seat, automatic, is about as plain Jane as you could get. I think it's an automatic, isn't it? No, this thing's even a 3-speed. Holy cow. 4-door, slant 6, stick shift on the floor, Dodge Aspen. I don't know if you guys can see that or not. 3 pedals and a stick shift coming up through the floor. Holy cow. Gary, I have a friend looking for a 68 Skylark grill bar. I've got one that looks good, but it has one crack in it. It's not broken half. Chrome's nice, but it does have one crack in it, Gary. If he wants to give me a call on that, I can get him some pictures of that. Ken Nolan, too bad people wasted this time. Could have done more if allowed to focus. Too bad people wasted his time. That's true. It's a good point, Kendall. When they wasted his time, he would have been allowed to focus. Could have been a lot less. It could have done a lot more. William Aspen, two less. David W., it's relaxing listening to you tell the story. Well, I mean, that's great. When we see that stuff, I'll go with it. You know, sometimes I wonder, but if you guys dig it, we'll go with it. X-Ray D and the RT Aspen of 360 was cool. You're 100% correct. Those were a great looking car. Aspens were popular cars. They sold a ton of them, that's for sure. Kenny, hate to say it, but that's the type of junk that keeps me coming back, among other things, okay? But the Aspen, in the form evaluated here, this is the conclusion in the last paragraph, shockingly, is not a car for the enthusiast or the status seeker. It is assuredly not the sort of car that will be of much use in an inducement to some sort of liaison with a rich lovely from Beverly Hills. It is, however, a solid car that can fulfill the needs of a large percentage of drivers who require a get them there and back means of transportation. I think we could have surmised that from the three pictures, but hey, they had to test it out and check it out and write it up anyway. So that was their job at the time. Mick, I've heard things on gas motors to get great mileage as people show up or gone. You know, and there is some truth to that, but all those stories about 100 mile per gallon engines and stuff, if it could be done, it would be out there. There's too many people that, you know, would be able to do that stuff. And it would be too widespread to completely shut everybody down, I would think. Jason's getting thirsty. That is a good point. Is that the trans with the first and third on the downshift? That I don't know, but probably so is what I'm guessing. Rusty Nail said his was slow. I would imagine it probably was. One more car we're going to check out, and this is a super cool car. However, it was not a production car. It was a design study. But it is neat. Done by Billy Mitchell, obviously legendary GM designer, the sports coupe called the Phantom. Only rarely does a professional auto designer have a chance to style a car with only his own desires and tastes in mind. That's what former GM chief Bill Mitchell did with his farewell car. Gary, 68 to 72 Nova core support. No, I'm out. I had one, but I sold it today. Had one small spot of rust in it, but it was a pretty straight piece, but it left today. X-Ray Dean had 100 mile per gallon, 82 HMV freeway three-wheel car, but that was kind of an interesting unit. But the Phantom, the Billy Mitchell sports coupe, and it does have one color picture of it. Chuck, I recalled this from one of the old magazines. The Monteverde Sierra was a car built between 77 and 80 by the Swiss firm Monteverde. The cars were essentially reskinned Dodge Aspens. But here's a color picture of the Billy Mitchell sports coupe, the Phantom. And then I'll read you a little bit about it, but I want to give everybody a good look at it. Here's what I see in this car. Obviously built as a grand styling exercise. 30s era, short deck, extremely long nose. I see 66, 67 Riviera right here. I absolutely see 73 Grand Am coming down the nose cone. Corvette in the front point. Maybe even a little Tornado right here in these big, long peaked front fenders. But, you know, a lot of cues from a lot of the vehicles that Billy Mitchell was involved in over the years. Rusty Nell says, looks like a Tornado. Number one says Tornado. But what it is, this is a dream car from one of the big American automakers, General Motors, but it's a different kind of dream. Usually built to show and shown to flaunt new styling ideas that might be used in the future or try on a notion for size on car buying public. This one isn't that. This luscious black coupe has been shaped by designer William L. Mitchell as purely personal expression that's intended to tell the world this is the kind of car I'd like to drive. You'll remember Bill Mitchell as the fellow who recently retired from GM after directing its auto styling for almost 20 years. Let's see. Frank, own a new Aspen, worst car I ever bought. Sebastian, I wonder where that car is. Now kind of looks like a 66 Tornado. Kenny agrees with what I thought about it. It was a design study. It was a prototype, but it was never a running car. That's where we're headed. Ken Nolan likes it. Tony digs it. Looks like it's going 100 mile an hour sitting still. But this was just strictly a design study. Bill Mitchell makes no secret of the love for the classics from the 20s and 30s that inspired the design of the Phantom. They're great cars of the Gatsby days were two-seaters, Bill says, and I wanted this coupe to have those same dramatic proportions. It was built on a Pontiac Grand Prix chassis, and he moved the rear seats and controls to the rear of the car to make the Phantom a selfish, arrogant, long-hooded two-seater that does recall the most extravagant classics of the years in the early 1930s when Mitchell was an art student in New York. Its extended hood and low roof reminds us of such fabulous classics as the custom coupes built by Sauchik and others on Bucciali Cord L29 and Mercedes-Benz SS chassis. So there again, that's the look he was going for. Yes, it was just strictly a design study is all it was. And I think I don't think that what it says here, I don't think there was ever any more of them made. But the Phantom exists only as a styling model, not as a running car. There's no chance that Pontiac or GM will produce anything like it. If there were, we wouldn't be able to show it to you, but that doesn't mean that someone else couldn't build it. Wouldn't it be fine if a company like Excalibur or Panther West Winds were to produce an authentic modern classic like the Phantom alongside their copies of the original great cars? You've got to remember back in the late 70s, the kit cars, the reproduction bodies of cars from the 20s and 30s were a big, big market, to the point where the Shea replica Model A's were literally built on new Ford chassis, sold through Ford dealerships with Ford warranties on a Shea Model A replica. So that was a big, big business at that point in time. So it pretty interesting piece. There's one other picture of it that's black and white, but we'll go ahead and show it up so you can get a good look at it from the side and check that one out. If we can get it up there where you guys can get a little bit better look at the design study of Bill Mitchell's Phantom. So just one, done as a design study, no idea what ever happened to it, and would be curious to find out, but I had never even heard of the car until now. And there is a little bit of a blip of it on the cover as well. Elon says, yep, that back end sure does look like a 66 Riviera. Yep, that's what I thought. David said, looks elegant. Yeah, it would be a cool looking car. But anyway, like I said, not a lot of meat in the articles. Let's get to some ads. First ad, discover a new horizon, the new Plymouth Horizon. Inside cover. They got really fancy with the new Horizon ad. I got to sit back so you guys can take it all in on the new Plymouth Horizon. Pete, so it was probably sheet metal or fiberglass. I don't remember if it said. Don't recall hearing in the article which one it was made out of. There were no pictures of the rear big job to know whether it was a boat tail or not. So that I couldn't answer. Alec likes it on Facebook as well. But like I said, tons of great ads in here. So let's get rolling on some ads. Jason's calling turkey, 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 just as I flip to the page with a big flying turkey on it. There we go, page 8, turkey hunt tonight. There it is, back to the late 70s, back with a little wild turkey, the iconic flying turkey from the Wild Turkey Corporation and their Wild Turkey Bourbon. I grew up in the late 70s. This picture was everywhere. I think every magazine you opened had that picture in it. That's why I love getting into these magazines from the 70s. There's the Hudson Badge, I was getting a little thirsty. But that's what's so great about the turkey hunt and this iconic flying turkey for the Wild Turkey Bourbon of the era. Everybody got excited about the turkey. Scott says it's about time. Yeah, we've had a couple of earlier magazines. We haven't done any turkey ads in a while, so we got one in tonight. I'm glad everybody's excited that we're back on the turkey hunt. And like I said, especially in these 70s magazines, Kevin's been waiting on it. So old school, I like turkey except the one in the White House. William, Tornado seemed to be a concept car ideas ending up in several models. Chad, you got to recreate that photo down with the river cars. Anybody do taxidermy? Yeah, that's true. That'd be a good idea. And Jason's got to go pee, shockingly, after how many Miller Lights. So, well, hurry up, Jason. Grab another beer on the way back. We still got some cool ads to check out, including the always rough, tough, and iconic Marlboro Man. I don't smoke, never have smoked, but I love checking out these cigarette ads from the 70s just because it was such a big, big deal in that time. You know, this dude, he ain't looking at the camera. He don't care. He's riding his horse and he's smoking his Marlboro, and it does nothing in the world's going to bother him, including you. Big Job's almost as much as Farrah Fawcett posters. Yep. Something else new for 1978. This is a GM Delco ad for the new Delco GM stereo with cassette. Cassette was a pretty big thing in 1978. That was pretty new technology. And new enough technology to have a full page ad in the Motor Trend to tout their new technology for cassette tapes. William, the horse died from secondhand smoke. That's possible. Old School says he still likes cassettes in 2022. The next ad, once again, just a basic black and white. It's a GM ad, but we're still dealing with gas crisis. These great GM car names show an impressive 34% estimated average fuel economy improvement over the 1975 models based on EPA figures. Chevrolet Monte Carlo and Malibu, Pontiac Grand Prix and Le Mans, Oldsmobile Cutlass Supreme and Cutlass Salon, Buick Regal and Century. Obviously, we know in 75, those were all still the A-body platform. And technically, in the first part of 78, they were still called an A-body, soon switched to the G-body platform, are the cars they're talking about, with their fuel economy performance changes and upgrades. So, Big Job says the horse should have run faster. Jason's back. Old School, there was no gas crisis. It was made up to force them to make cars with emissions crap. That could be possible too. David W., I just got my Star Wars soundtrack on vinyl. Speaking of vinyl, not records, but seats. Sebastian, the first Marlboro Man was a non-smoker. He quit the campaign because it thought it set a bad example for his kids. That would make sense, definitely. Make big money fast with high-profit vinyl repair. Kind of a cool ad. Once again, one of these, do it yourself, become a millionaire, learn how to do it, and make yourself rich. Ads on vinyl repair. Cars, upholstery, seats, chairs, household, restaurant, all kinds of stuff. And Phil says the Marlboro Man died of lung cancer at the age of 52. Old School says Hitler banned smoking. I did not know that. I didn't remember that. So, learn how to do vinyl repair. VIP, Vinyl Industrial Products. Mail-free information coupon. Everything comes to you by mail. No obligation. Yep. This next ad's pretty cool. Definitely late 70s. From the Fuzzbuster Corporation, Fuzzbuster untraps radar. I thought this was such a cool piece. Very early radar detector. Think ahead. Pretty basic ad. Open road, but obviously think ahead. Use your Fuzzbuster. I don't know how well these things worked. Obviously a little before my time, but definitely something that became very commonplace that was pretty new technology in 1978. David W., lots of Naugahyde, yeah. Oh, my Horizon ad's trying to flip out on me. Another cigarette ad. And like I said, I know these aren't, the cigarette ads in the 70s are so cheesy, by today's standards. I love looking at them, even though I'm not a smoker. I think it's still a great part of this window when we look back in time and study this stuff. Sebastian, in Texas, many cowboys use corn husks for cigarette paper, which was learned from the Indians. Number one, keeps the cops from knowing you speed. This toaster. Yeah, exactly. That's a good point, number one. Keeps the cops from knowing that you speed with this toaster-sized box on your dashboard. Good point. Kevin, forgot the police were called the Fuzz. David W. says, cool, K-O-O-L, like cool cigarettes. Well, actually, we're not going into cool right now, but this is a different brand. Old School, smoking, a great part of cancer research. That's true. This ad, 2-page in color, Viceroy cigarettes. This dude's pretty excited about his Viceroys. He's giving you the victory sign, the peace sign, whatever. Happy with his Viceroys, comparing him to Marlboros. More tobacco, less tar than Winston or Marlboro. So literally touting the benefits of smoking Viceroys. More for less. Got to flip up. Let's see. A couple of pages here to another great ad. And we've seen this before for the sweepstakes in the late 70s. The Firestone Superstone Sweepstakes. First prize, Stone's Performance Ford Econoline E150 Street Van. Second prize, 4x4 Ford F-150 Macho Machine. Third prize, Stone Street Cruising Ford Courier. Big, full-color, 2-page ad with the big Firestone Superstone Sweepstakes, with the custom vans, the custom trucks, all kinds of, a whole bunch of 70s going on in that ad. The styles, the clothes, everything, a whole lot of 70s in that ad. Scott on Facebook, a CB and a Fuzzbuster was all you needed, even in that Aspen. Yeah. Let's see. Jason says you still got one of those old Fuzzbusters somewhere. Sebastian, I still collect the early tobacco and smoking items. Number one, apparently they grew mustaches so they can smell the cigarette when they finish smoking the cigarette. David W., hop in my van, man. That's exactly right. About some Hudson badge going on right there. But there is like so much 70s going on in this ad. It's crazy. Jason says he'll take the Macho Machine. Big Job's giving that ad a big thumbs up. What's the middle vehicle with the Firestones? I'm assuming we're talking about this one here, which is a customized Ford Courier. Tony says he remembers that ad. This was the F-150, the Courier, the van. This was like a go-kart van, so. They're giving away 30 super minivans. So that is, like I said, there's so much 70s in that ad, you can't even hardly take it all in at once. Another great 70s ad. This one for Dodge, a new set of adult toys from Dodge. And we see a whole bunch of super cool Dodge vehicles in this ad. Right here. Custom van, 4x4, Warlock, Ram Charger. A whole lot of cool late 70s in that ad as well. Number one, those paint schemes kind of look like the Levi's van giveaway. Sebastian, what's with the cool Ford custom vans? Everyone is very tastefully done in a cool way. Man, the van thing was huge back then. So, I mean, custom vans, and I think there's going to be a comeback in custom vans. That's why I picked up those 3 vans I bought recently, because there ain't a lot of vans left. Ken Nolan says, got to bail off. Glad you made it for a while tonight. But a whole bunch of cool 70s Dodge in that ad there. Another ad, this is in black and white, something I wasn't extremely familiar with. X-Ray Dean had a Ram Charger. Jim's Lawn and Turf, shag carpet in the van. That's right. Meguiar's. I mean, everybody's familiar with Meguiar's. Jason, that's all there is in Dodge ads is cool. The Professionals Go Retail Meguiar's. Obviously, Meguiar's a very well-known name in the car detailing and cleaning world. Cool old ad from the late 70s for Meguiar's. Didn't really realize how long they've been around, so they've got some time on them. David W., the Van Nationals was huge. I think vans are going to come back. Vans were a 70s era custom vans were a very niche deal, but they were extremely popular. And I mean, like I said, the stuff they did with those vans was nutso. It was great. Number one, a Courier van. They gave away a Ford pickup, a Courier pickup. They had a full-size customized van, full-size customized F-150, and a customized Courier were the 3 prizes. William, shag van. If it's rocking, don't come knocking. That's right. Jason says vans are coming back strong. Sebastian, many of the famous custom vans are highly collectible. Big job. Guy worked for me, had a Warlock in 96. I got a buddy doing a Warlock right now. And absolutely cannot wait to bring you guys the Warlock that he's building. I think it's a 6.2 that it's getting, a 6.2 Hemi with a 6-speed, 6.2 Hemi crate motor with a 6-speed in a Warlock. So that's going to be that's a pretty epic build. So hopefully I'm going to bring you some content on that next time I get by to see him. Rush Nails wants an A100. Yeah, the Meguiar's labels are cool. We'll hold them up one more time so you can get a little better look at them. Similar, but definitely different font than what we're used to seeing on the Meguiar's labels today. Green or black Warlock. I think his was green. I don't remember. He bought it a year or so ago, so I don't remember for sure. Alec had a Dodge van with a 3-speed on the column. Phil, a big part of magazine's income was through cigarette ads. Robert Peterson sold his publishing house in 1992, just before the feds banned cigarette ads. He sold out for about $750 million right before they banned cigarette ads, that's what's great about having Phil on here. Phil's been around and in this game for a really long time and has so much knowledge in that stuff. But that is very interesting how that worked out. And Phil also says the new owners found out how much the loss of tobacco income hurt them. So that explains a lot about why we saw all of these cigarette ads. X-ray and couriers were big to cut out the back of the cab with a shell or so. That I don't remember. Don't know much about doing that on those. Skip up a few more pages here to another cigarette ad, and this cigarette ad cracked me up. Sebastian, I need the Dodge D100 Warlock truck. Yeah, they're pretty cool. He was in town. He lives in eastern Kansas, but he was in town one day, and he's like, "Hey, I know a guy that's got this for sale. What do you think about it?" And he showed me pictures of it. Like, dude, why do you not own that? He's like, "Well, I didn't know if it was worth building." I was like, "Yeah." I said, "You better own that." So he called the guy and bought it. But this next cigarette ad just cracked me up when I took in the picture. This is Camel, one of a kind. Where others rush through life, he knows when to reflect, to enjoy. He smokes for pleasure and satisfaction. He gets both from the blend of Turkish and domestic tobacco and Camel filters. Do you? And the picture cracks me up. That's why I had to read the text before I show you this picture. Because he knows when to reflect, to enjoy. He smokes for pleasure and satisfaction. And now you look at the picture. Dude is stone cold, staring straight ahead. Cute little chick beside him. He's like, I'm enjoying my Camel. My Camel is fulfilling. My Camel's all I need. I'm good with that. I'm reflecting and enjoying my Camel. It's just, the ad just cracked me up. Phil, Meguiar started in 1906. Barry Meguiar is really a car crazy guy. Family sold out to 3M about 10 years ago. Okay, that's good to know as well. So, yeah, David says, haha, yeah, this ad just cracked me up. So we look at this dude because he knows when to reflect, to enjoy, and smokes for pleasure and satisfaction. That just cracked me up. So anyway, I hope you guys got a chuckle out of that one too. The next one, and this is kind of crazy. This is a 4-page ad. Kevin says, what a stud muffin. Yeah. Sebastian, if weed ever got popular like tobacco, history may repeat. Yeah, I don't think it would ever get to that point. Number one, Camels were my brand. I could have gone pro after high school. Jason, yes, Midnight Express, even less production than the Little Red Express. David W. said, yeah, he's like, yeah, give me a minute, babe. I think that's exactly where they were going for that. The next ad, 4 pages, 4 color pages in this issue of Motor Trend on the new Dodge Omni. Really going all out. And there again, you got to remember, this is when Chrysler was really trying to come out, trying to get back on their feet, trying to make some things happen. Big job. She wants to smoke too. But literally 4 pages on the Dodge Omni. Jim's Lawn and Tree Fruits. Yep, you got a light, babe. And there again, that's what's so awesome about these ads. I love the fact that you guys get into them. You jump in with your comments. And that's why we started doing the cigarette ads. When we first started doing these magazines, I always skipped over the alcohol and tobacco ads. Other than Wild Turkey, we had to do Wild Turkey. But just seeing what they did and then seeing your guys' response, taking a look back in that window in time and then getting your feedback on both formats from them. So Woody Omni, well, yeah, kind of. Wood grain stickers. Wood grain stickers on the omnibus is what they called it. Big Job says junk on wheels. Jason Withrow says, all right. Just like Matthew McConaughey. Because it'd be a lot cooler if you did. Sebastian, I must complete the 70s Dodge truck collection. Yeah, that's true. X-Ray Dean, the GLH was coolish, and that is 100% correct. The GLH did come out, which was several years after this. Those were actually a pretty good little car. Those were a pretty neat little car, and I think they're cool. I dig them. Few more ads I want to catch. Like I said, this thing was chock full of ads. Even though it didn't have a lot of meat in it, it was chock full of ads. New Chevy Monza. I can't read some of this. Oh, fewer yen, marks, lira, francs, or bucks than any sporty foreign hatchback. That's what threw me off. I seen the words I couldn't understand. They were talking about foreign currency. That's what kind of threw me off course there a little bit. Full color ad on the new bright red Chevy Monza hatchback, saying how competitively priced it really was. Number one says, hey man, watch the leather. Jason says I was going to type that next because it'd be a lot cooler if you did. Big Job says the stickers is what held it together. Maybe that's why they put all that fake wood grain on some of that stuff back then. They needed it to hold them together so they didn't fall apart. It's a good point, Big Job. I never thought of it that way. But let's jump up to another ad that I'm sure most of you are probably familiar with and may bring back a few memories. Rusty Nail says, Sebastian, let me help you out. Kenny, is it safe to say the Omni and Chevette were very close to size and weight? I think they were probably very close in size and weight. The next ad we're going to check out is probably going to bring back some memories. Number one, hey man, whose bowling ball is this? Is the Merrimont Muffler Corporation for the Cherry Bomb. Who remembers the Cherry Bomb? It's powerful, quiet. Cherry Bomb mufflers from the Merrimont Corporation. That's got to ring a bell with some of you guys. So I thought that ad was definitely worth checking out. And even color, of course, there isn't much color on the muffler, but still a color ad. Thought it was a pretty neat piece that probably would there again stir a few memory banks as we work through this March of 78 issue of Motor Trend. A few more things to catch as we get here towards the end. A good G-body ad. Price our Pontiacs. Who else gives you all this inside plus all this outside for $5,772 on the new Grand Prix? Nice color ad. Obviously, G-bodies today are crazy popular because they were crazy popular back then. They were good cars, and they definitely did the job, and they were definitely a competitive car for what they did in the day, and they were pretty sporty. Pete had cherry bombs on his 70 El Camino in high school. That's what I figured. I expected to say. I was hoping to see a few comments like that. I expected a few, but I was hoping we were going to get them when we showed the cherry bomb ad. One more ad for STP, scientifically treated petroleum. However, this is not for STP. This is for their carburetor cleaner. A dirty carburetor can be a problem. This can be a real help. STP Carb Cleaner with the classic STP logo on their can. Once again, still a color. David W. John Mellencamp. Yep. He just did the song called Cherry Bomb. Number one, can you still buy cherry bombs? And this ad said Merrimount owned them. I don't know if Merrimount's probably been bought at this point too. So Big Job says Pete with a full tailpipe. Phil, too bad Shelby didn't use the Woody version for the GLH his edition. That would be interesting if they'd made the GLH out of the Woody edition. Rusty Nelson thinks his Charger still has them on there. William, everybody should have cherry bombs on them to combat the big fart mufflers. That's true. That's a good point. Number one, remember when Thrush made 4 types of side pipes? Yeah. But as we get ready to wrap up the ads in this issue of Motor Trend from 1978, the inside back cover Like I said, no Fox body Mustangs. However, Ford is going to introduce you to the Futura. Full color ad on the inside back cover. Some UFO type looking stuff back there as we talk about the Futura. Kevin's got an STP baseball cap. Sebastian, a Dodge you don't see a lot of are the Raiders from the 80s. That is true. You don't see a lot of Dodge Raiders anymore either. David W., try finding side pipes now. Actually, they put side pipes on the Holy Goat. Pole Barn Garage put side pipes on the Holy Goat that they just did. So be sure to check that thing out. If you have not seen the Holy Goat on the Pole Barn Garage channel, check it out because they put side pipes back on that thing to make it all 70s it out. So Eloy had cherry bombs on a 64 Grand Prix. Those are great cars too. I used to have one of those as well. To wrap this issue of the March 1978 issue of Motor Trend up, we're going to wrap it up with one more cigarette ad on the back cover. And this dude, once again, looks super serious because he's worried about his taste. I want low tar. The taste is a must. I wanted less tar, but not less taste. Found Winston Lights. I get the low tar numbers I want. Taste alike. Wasn't for Winston Lights, I wouldn't even smoke. Which there again is so great. When we think about where it is today, we look at this dude's picture. I want low tar, but taste is a must. That's the way it's going to be with me. Ain't going to smoke unless I'm smoking Winston Lights. Only way it's going to go. So there again, having some fun with some of these cigarette ads just from what we know today. And I hope you guys enjoy them as well. Of course, you got your Surgeon General's warning down here in the lower corner to make sure that everybody read that. But thought that was great as well. Big job. Yep, scared to prove those side pipes on the woman. Yeah, that's true. Have you ever seen a Ford Durango made from one of those Futuras? I don't remember if that was an actual Ute they made or not. It seems like I've seen or heard something about those. So, but dude is pretty serious about his Winston Lights. So I thought that ad was great as well. Sebastian, I think I'd prefer the Winston coffee. But anyway, that wraps it up for tonight for the March 1978 issue of Motor Trend. At least we got to go on a turkey hunt tonight. So that'll wrap up tonight's magazine. As we move on a little bit, like I said, I did not do trivia tonight. I didn't get at it until after midnight last night. Today we got kind of bonkers. I don't think I got anything accomplished, but I didn't get anything done, but I ran all day. So David W says it's a great show. Big Job says it's like a warning from Fauci. Yeah, that's a good point. Sam Fisher, Harley Davidson, and the Marlboro Man. Sebastian, ever heard of the Midnight Express 68 Cornet 440 Wagner? I have not, but that sounds like that would be super cool. So, Paul, how hard is it to get a title for a project? That depends on where you're at. Addie's on with us a little bit. I'll get a hold of you when we get done. So we got to get to work on your project too. I know that. So, but glad you're on with us tonight, hanging out for a while. In Kansas, I can get titles on antiques with a bill of sale and a VIN inspection and go through a short process to do that. So I can do them here. I don't know what it's like in other states, but I can get titles on them in Kansas. Minnesota, I don't have any idea of what your laws are there. If you're going to buy a project from me, I obviously don't have everything titled with 1,500 cars, but I do try to title a lot of stuff, and definitely anything that I think might be able to be built, I do try to title as well. So, Kevin, when's the next walk around? We talked about that a little while ago, and I was just getting ready to get to that again. I am going to try to do another live yard walk around, hopefully within the next few weeks. Big Jump says Vermont titles. I don't know what it takes to get titles in Vermont, but I'd like to, within the next few weeks, do a live yard walk around. I've been doing them on weekends. And I don't know if that works good for everybody. I don't know what everybody wants. I typically try to do them on a Sunday. If anybody wants me to do them on a different day, I just got to have a nice calm day where I've got good sunlight and not a lot of wind. So that's what we need to do on the live yard walk around. So If weekends are good, let me know. If weekends are not good, let me know. If not, I'll probably just try to do one on a Saturday or Sunday sometime in the next few weeks if I get a good day. Last one I did was Christmas Day, so it's been about 3 months ago. We do need to do another one, and you guys ask every week, so I definitely wanted to put that in the notes for tonight that I do want to try to get another live yard walk worked in. So hopefully within the next 2 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks. Jason says Sunday definitely works for him. Like we talked about earlier, I will try to get a notice up a couple of hours ahead of time. I never know from day to day. It may look like it's going to be a good day, and then the next morning the wind's blowing. So, but if we're going to do one, I'll try to do it early afternoon and try to post something by late morning on all formats. I will probably do the live just on YouTube, just because it's so difficult to keep up with comments on all the different formats. But I will post on Facebook and YouTube, both pages, when we get ready to do that, when I get a good day. But have been thinking about it. Definitely want to try to work it in. Stay tuned. I will get a notice up, hopefully 2 to 3 hours prior to doing the live. If I put the notice up and the wind comes up in the meantime, then I will post another notice that the wind came up and it wouldn't be a good day to do it. But hopefully in the next 2 to 3 weeks, we will definitely try to get one worked in. So Joe says, trivia question, who made and when was the first synthetic oil produced? That I'm not sure about. David W., ever heard of the pure stock muscle car drag races? Yeah, I have definitely heard of those. Sebastian, in the Dodge van video, I saw a cab over semi. It's not mine. It's another guy that's had it stored out there for years, and he won't move it. I keep telling him to get it out of my way, and he won't move it. So I don't know what's going to happen with it. Number 1 says, evening before the sun drops and the bugs rise. If I do it late in the day on a Sunday, we couldn't be on here. We might be able to do one late in the day on Saturday, or we could also, if we get a good day and we do it late in the day, just skip Sunday night if this goes too long, and then do the Sunday night the following week. That's also an idea too, if you guys wanted to go later in the afternoon. Joe said Germans in World War II did it due to bombing their oil refiners. That's why they went to synthetic oil. That's good to know. That's different. I didn't know that. William says anytime. Let's see. Kevin just says whenever you're ready. Whatever's best for me. Let's see. Specialist wants to sell it. Let him know. I'm not sure what was that. Oh, number 1 is the Carmen Gia. I missed that comment earlier. So, number 1, I remember seeing that and things got scrolling on me. I've got 2 Carmen Gias in the yard, depending on which one you've seen. One is hit real hard. The other one is mostly an intact body, but they're both fairly rough. The VW van is a 72 regular van. Williams says just live walk whenever fits your schedule. Big Job's getting thirsty. There you go. Better get that up there for you guys. Still got to talk about the raffle. Still got to talk about some new inventory. Let's get that stuff knocked out real quick. Jason says if it's in your way, it's yours. Boom. We'll do a double shot while I still got it in my hand. But the raffle for this month, Daniel, need a truck bed for an 80 C10 short bed. I've got one pretty decent fleet. I don't know which one you need, whether you need a fleet or a step. But I've got one pretty decent fleet. If you want to give me a shout on that, Daniel, I can tell you what's the few things that I know are wrong with it, but it looks pretty solid, but it's a pretty decent bed. But the raffle, like I said, we just started it last week towards the end of March, so it's going to go through April. First prize is going to be the Sinclair porcelain pump plate. Picked it up at the Wichita swap meet. Thought it was a great piece for the raffle. Obviously original. I'm sure it's original. The chipping in it looks original. It's definitely got some age to it. We did a close-up look at it on Toy Tuesday last week. Since it came from the Wichita swap meet, we worked into that video as well with some other cool stuff. More cool stuff from the Wichita swap meet coming up this week on Toy Tuesday as well. But nice size, can hang about anywhere. Good porcelain, chipped around the edges where it was mounted, but that's about it. So pretty neat piece, and that's what the first place winner is going to get. We're going to announce a second place prize probably next week. And like I said, we get 10 people in, then we're going to pull 3 names. We got to get 10 entries in before we pull a third name. So, Kenny, what year's the Ranchero that was next to the Catalina in the Catalina video? 69. Paul says, thanks for all we do. And Dan says, okay. Jason says he's turning in cans so he can win it. Well, you can drink it. We'll just help you drink a few more cans. So, but as of right now, who is in the big Buick oil can for the raffle on the Sinclair pump plate? Nice, super cool original porcelain piece. We've got some names in there already. Who do these belong to? Ray Carmichael is in. David Weber is in, and Lee Carr is in. I've got 3 of you in right now. Lee's pretty serious about this deal. Actually, most of those in there are Lee's name, actually. So that's who's in right now. As always, $1 a chance. You send me $5, you're in here 5 times. $10, 10 times, $20, 20 times, etc., etc. As always, check money order, PayPal, friends and family, Western Union, any of that works. And give me a shout, or however you want to get in. We've got a little bit of time on this one since we're going to go through the end of April. I think May 1st is a Sunday. We're going to give it away on May 1st and announce the May raffle. So you've got a little time, but don't forget, you don't want to miss it. This is a great piece. Hudson badge. Sebastian's going to send his money when he sends his money for the other pieces. So cool. Jason says Lee's got to bag off. Chill out, Lee. Lee digs this stuff just like we do. So that's what's great about it. But that is a good piece. Addie's telling everybody don't boost my ego because she's got to live with me. So Jason looks thirsty. But anyway, that's who's in as of right now on the Sinclair pump plate. We'll announce the second place prize probably next week. And we get 10 people in. We're going to pull 3 names out of that can and ship 3 prizes out after that. Daniel, where do I enter the information? Whether you want to do PayPal or mail it to me is in the text part of this video. After we get off, go back, click on the video. In the text part, mailing information is in there. PayPal information is in there. That is all on there. So you can do payments. So Joe's going to bail off. Cool info on Mr. Diesel and looking forward to the video on the Turbo Superchargers. Hudson badge. So be sure to get in on the raffle. The information is in the text part. Click on that. If not, my phone number is in all my videos and all my posts. You can always call me anytime, 8 to 8 Central Standard Time, 8 in the morning till 8 in the evening. If you miss me, leave me a voicemail and I will get back with you as soon as I get off the phone with whoever I'm talking to. So great raffle this month. I'm excited about it. New inventory this week. The only thing I picked up, because that weather came in actually Monday afternoon, literally after the auction. We were a little worried because there was so much stuff at that auction. I didn't know if Car Auction was going to get that thing squeezed in, but they did. Great friends of mine, Jim and Chris Frosner. They do an outstanding job. I partnered up with them on the F&E Collector Auto Auction. They had a lot of merchandise to move through there. They did it, and they had one heck of a Monday sale. You'd think a Monday sale would be weak. The crowd they had there was outstanding, but that's because of the job those guys do. But I did manage to bring home the 1984 Chevy Impala that I showed you a glimpse of. We'll get you a full walk around on that. Go through all the stuff that I got to dig out of the car that's inside of it, because the inside was full of a bunch of junk too. Not sure what we're going to find in that because I haven't looked. I got the oil cans out, but I got to sort through all of those. I got to get some of that stuff done and cleaned out and see where we're at on that car. So, but it's going to be fun. It's going to be an exciting video because I don't know what's in it other than that one bottle of hooch. Somebody found that bottle of hooch in it and sat it on the roof during the auction. So I threw that back in the car. I don't remember what it was. So we'll check that out as well. So what do I got coming up for next week? Next videos, Big Job. When's the next F&E? October 1st, I believe. It is the first week in October. And I believe that is actually on the 1st this year. I can double check and see. But yes, October 1st is the next F&E Collector Auto Auction. Would be great to see some of you guys out here if you can make it. If you've got cars you want to consign, by all means, get a hold of me. We're going to get started on it here pretty quick. Because we've already got some cars lined out and we're going to get started on the marketing and advertising here probably within the next 60 days. So if you want to get in early. The longer that stuff floats out there, the lot better chance it is of more people seeing your car that you want to sell. And if nothing else, it'd be great to have some of you come out and just hang out. Jess and Rico have been coming out the last couple of years. We have a ton of fun, and we may sometimes, occasionally, possibly there's a slight chance we even find a place that sells beer like on Thursday and Friday night too. And definitely Saturday night after the auction. We definitely find a place that sells beer Saturday night after the auction. Plus we sell beer at the auction. So of course that doesn't do me any good because I'm working, but it's great for all of you guys if you want to make it out. Plus we have awesome barbecue. We have some of the most outstanding barbecue. Our barbecue vendor is phenomenal. So we've got a lot of beer, awesome barbecue, and a ton of cool cars to check out on October 1st. So hope some of you guys can make it. Number one was the Impala above or below the Caprice in 84. It was below the Caprice. Pete, is there whiskey in it? Yeah, there was some whiskey in it. I don't think I'd want to touch it, but there's some whiskey in it. We dig the junk out of that car. We'll check it out. So William says, thanks for all we do. We'll see you on Tuesday. Kenny, thanks for another show, but his mom still thinks we're a bunch of nobodies, but still enjoys. Hey, I can deal with that. We can all be a bunch of nobodies. Rusty Nails is on 3%, so his battery must be about to die. Jason, yes, we did say beer. There is some beer there. Big job. Post-it was a cool auction. What's the policy on beer during the auction? You can drink all you want. And we keep our beer price very low, and that's what it's there for. Because that's what's great about these auctions. And I didn't realize it until I started doing a lot of Meekums. They're an event. They're fun. You hang out with your friends. You drink some beer. You watch a lot of cool cars. And you may not even buy anything. You don't have to buy anything. A lot of people don't buy anything. A lot of people just come buy some memorabilia. A lot of people buy nothing. But you bring a bunch of your buddies. You drink beer. You watch cars. And then the thing about these auctions, especially when you're there in person, is the drama. Is it going to hit reserve? Are they going to pull the reserve? Is the car going to sell? Is it going to sell? We always sell some right after the auction. Tons of excitement going on, tons of auction action, and that's what makes them fun. Number one says that bottle wasn't whiskey. It's a kidney infection. That could be true. Old School says we like being nobodies. Jason says I'm a nobody, and I have a shirt that says so. That's right, Rusty Nails. The more they drink, the more they buy. That's hopefully what we do. Big job. Where's BW and Kim tonight? Missed them. They were on earlier, so. Hudson badge. But anyway, what's coming up next week on videos? Got one more van to show you. 1974 Ford Econoline with a little bit of twist to that story. There's a little bit of history with that van. So you'll definitely want to stay tuned and check out the 1974 Ford Econoline. A little bit of history with me in this actual van. I didn't even know it. I didn't even know it until I went and looked at it and realized what it was. So Big Job says we still need to get nobody's car club plaques. Yeah. But like I said, I'll try to get a live worked in here in the next few weeks. I will post that. We need to do the video on the 74 Econoline. Plus, I've got a couple of Lincolns that came in recently that we have not checked out yet either. So going to be getting some videos up on those Lincolns. Hudson badge. And working on getting the info videos put together. I went through some old notes that I had that I'd been working on a couple of years ago on the informational videos like we've been talking about. I think I'm going to start off with different tips on how to look for cars or how to look for project cars, restored cars, old car parts, things like that, how to find parts for your projects, stuff that I deal with on a daily basis that is frustrating to me and is also holding people back from finding their parts. Because you realize what the biggest problem is why people can't find parts for their collector cars. They have no idea how to look. And that's what we're going to start covering in those videos. So I got those notes out, and I'll start putting some of those together as well. Big Job wants to see the Ford cab over again. Big Job, our number one, always want to put an Econoline front doghouse on an F100 cab. That would be pretty interesting. Jason, a YouTube channel, Make It Custom, had a cool custom van a while back. Yeah, I still believe vans are coming back. So that's what I'm going to be working on in videos. David W's got to bail off. We'll get ready to wrap this thing up tonight. And as always, that's about what I've got. I'm pretty much through my notes. We'll keep an eye on comments as we wrap up. As always, sometimes this takes a few minutes to get done as comments are coming in. Nate's on with us. So Nate was here, and he said beer was all him and his brothers bought last year, but they still had a great time. So, and that's the point, is having fun. Eloy says as long as beer's cheaper than gas, he's good. Yep. So that's right. If the more you guys can come, the more fun it's going to be. October 1st, be sure to put that on a calendar. Big Job says her truck would make a great plaque. So Big Job wants to use the Ford cab over on the Car Club plaque, kind of like the logo we got on the shirt maybe or something like that. So, and yeah, if you want shirts, the information for the shirts is on the text as well. Just like Jason says, you can get a shirt also that will officially make you a nobody. So that information to order shirts is on there as well. Like I said, I'm out of mediums, but I got large, extra large, double, and triple X all still in stock. So number one, when someone says can't find parts for it, I always bid low and when to find all the parts. Old school, how did I miss trivia? We didn't have trivia tonight. I didn't get anything ready. I didn't get out of here till after midnight last night, and I just didn't get that part done. Jason says he'll hang with you, Nate. That's cool, man. I hope some of you guys can make it out. Put it on your calendars. It's going to be a good time as always. But Hudson Badge, I'm sure some of you guys still got some beer left. Big Job digs the shirt. So yeah, we just didn't get that far tonight, old school. And probably kind of a good thing we didn't. We're going a little long tonight anyway, as we're getting into the wrap-up session at this point. So, no, you didn't miss it. We did some great auction pieces, had a lot of fun with that. And so anyway, I'll keep an eye on comments here for a few more minutes as we get ready to wrap up, because like I said, seems like it takes 10 minutes to wrap up. But that's what's coming up. Thanks for being here tonight, everybody. We had a great time. As always, good crowd tonight. Had a lot of fun with the auctions. If you were an auction winner and you're not sure what to do, just give me a shout. The information is on the phone number is also in the text for this video. You can give me a call tomorrow and I'll let you know what to do. Obviously, Lee's already got some cans here. Since he's out of town, I'm holding his. Sebastian's in his money at the end of the week. So if you've got any questions, William, on yours, you just give me a call. And that's right. We'll do some Toy Tuesday. We've got a few more pieces from the Wichita Swap Meet that we're going to check out on Toy Tuesday this week. Some cool stuff there. Some really neat pieces we picked up to add to our collection. Some cool smalls. We'll be going over that. Kenny says Roberta D and Kenny P signing out from Central California. Well, glad you guys hung out with us for a while tonight. Had a great crowd tonight. We had Australia. We had Germany. We had a little bit of all over the world on tonight. That's awesome. Pete enjoyed the show. Kevin says thanks. Old School says, if we ever get PayPal set up, let him know so he can play. Yeah, and like I said, I don't understand what's wrong with it, but it isn't working on foreign payments. So William said he'll call me in the morning. Perfect. We'll get that lined out. So let's see. Big Job. See BW's emblem he had 3D printed for his 55. No, I did not see that. 3D printing obviously is getting to be a huge deal in our world. Super cool. My daughter loves it. She's got 3 of them. She's making all kinds of cool stuff with 3D printers. So she's in a plastics engineering program right now, and she's doing a ton of cool stuff with it. And it's neat to see what that stuff's really capable of, the stuff she's designing and then just start spitting it out on her printer. Let's see. Daniel, what would be the cost if I purchased the bed truck to Florida? Just have to give me a shout because to go over the details, because truck beds have to be shipped by transport. You can't ship them LTL unless you crate them. So it's got to be shipped by a transporter. So it's like shipping a car. So it's not cheap. Nate says he's planning on being here this year again. We got Addie's attention when we mentioned 3D printing. Yeah, it's pretty cool what she's doing with it. So Old School, you can 3D print aluminum. Yeah, you can 3D print all kinds of stuff. We went to, I think we talked about it before when we were down at the Auburn Cord Duesenberg factory. We went to a 3D printing place down there, and the stuff they're doing is amazing. They had a bunch of stuff laying there for SpaceX that they were working on. So pretty cool stuff. So, Celesty Nails taillights. Taillight lenses probably. Yeah, they do like taillight lenses and stuff with them. But yeah, there is so much cool stuff you can do with 3D printing that it's amazing. And what Addie's doing with it is super cool. So, and that's going to be a big part of the future, as even in our world on some of these hard to find parts and what they can do with 3D printing and things like that. So anyway, that's what I've got for tonight. Appreciate everybody being here. Thanks for stopping by, hanging out for, holy cow, 2.5 hours. It's kind of bonkers that you guys come back and you make this what it is. You really do. This isn't about me sitting here and talking in front of a couple of webcams. This is your guys' participation. the stuff that we get into, and when I do these deep dives, just like into the diesel thing, I got worried about that diving too far down into that hole. But the fact that you guys dig it and got into it and enjoyed the history, that makes me want to do it more. So I will definitely work with that. And, as I'm going through these magazines and not be scared to maybe get into one or two that take a little bit more time but have a ton of good information in it. We'll throw another one of those up there just for good measure. We'll see you Tuesday night for Toy Tuesday. We'll be live 7 o'clock on the Nobody Show page on YouTube. If you're on Facebook, you're going to have to be on the Nobody Show page on YouTube for Toy Tuesday live. We'll check out some more pieces from the Wichita Swap Meet. Like I said, a couple of Lincoln videos and an Econoline video coming up. We'll get that informational videos series started and get it put together soon so we can start bringing some information on that and hopefully some tips to help you find parts for your collector cars. So that's what I've got. Thanks for being here. Thanks for spending your Sunday evening with me. Like I said, still amazed that you do it. Invite your friends back. We had a great crowd tonight. We had a lot of fun. Tell your friends, jump on. Let's make this thing a little bit bigger, a little bit better. Invite them over. Let's have a good time. Thanks for being here on both Facebook and YouTube. One more Hudson badge just for good measure. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you 7 o'clock Tuesday evening for Toy Tuesday. And definitely hope to see you back here Sunday night, 7 o'clock. Rusty Nails at 1%. We better wrap it up. 7 o'clock next Sunday night live chat. We'll have some more cool stuff to do. We'll have some more fun. Stay tuned. Live yard walk coming soon. Thanks for watching, everybody. And we will see you soon. Sebastian, what's the best time to call? 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. If I miss you, leave me a quick message because I'm on the phone with somebody else and I'll get back with you. Big Job says one more time, hit the like button. We're going to jump off. Thanks for watching, everybody. We will see you next week.